hold down the fort until
And do what? What's going on? What do we have to do?
hold down the fort until Firefly comes back. Hi, everybody. You're still muted. Oh, there we go. Now you're unmuted. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody. What the hell?
I think somebody's listening to the stream.
Is somebody still playing their thing?
And there's only 3 of us on here right now, so.
What the heck? Okay. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna hold down. We just have to hold down the fort for a little bit. So you guys with us today. And Polly.
Polly. Yanni Polly. Oh, I like the hat. I like
you
that.
like that? That's my Indiana Jones hat.
I like that hat. That's a cool hat.
I got a bunch of hats. I got a Tilly hat. Did you have a Tilly hat on a few nights ago?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
She loves that damn hat.
Yes, Tilly hats are cute. I think they are so cute. Especially some of the girls, how they wear the style.
I wanted one. They were out.
Yeah, some Chinese companies making them now. The real ones used to be made in Canada.
Yeah.
Lifetime warranty. If you lose it, they give you another one.
Yeah, for free.
but I've had mine since like 1980s, 89, I think. My mom got it for me. And it's dark blue, and I love it. I'll see if I can find it.
Tilly hats. And they go with any kind of, if you got some good, cool outfits, you could just put them with the outfit and it goes perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I had this blazer outfit and I had my Tilly hat. That was blazing. I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah, all the football players used to wear them all the time. They might still do. I don't know. But
right now it's just the 3 of us, and maybe Nookins will come in later, and we're just holding down the fort until Firefly.
Yeah.
Hold down the fort. I found a good video. I found one good documentary, and then I found this other guy that does all these different UFO stories.
Man, like I said, people just think that we are the only one in the universe. They got another thing coming. They don't know jack, because there's a whole bunch of other things out there that we don't know about.
Nobody knows anything.
They don't know nothing because there's a whole. This is a universe is huge.
Yeah.
I'm sure we are not the only people out here that are, walking among the stars.
Yeah, they say it's Earth.
Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry, Nan.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure we are not the only people on this earth and are out there in this other than Earth. I'm sure there are other beings out there. And there are beings that made themselves known because they come around and look around like, okay. So there are other ones out here.
This is true. Maybe we'll do. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, did you ever see the movie Paulie? Oh, I love that movie.
Oh, that's so great. That is just hilarious.
That is my favorite movie. Paulie is so funny. That movie was so funny. Angie Paulie.
No, it was just Paul, I think. It was just
Paul, yeah. Paul, I love that movie. That's my favorite movie.
Yo, you know what movie I found today that I was not expecting? The Miracle Worker. I didn't even know I knew that movie. And I saw a commercial for it. And I was like, wait a minute. I remember watching this as a kid. Only because I liked the little girl that was in there.
God, I can't. Wow.
She was the Pepsi girl. You remember the little Pepsi girl with the curls and the dimples? Probably, I don't know if you remember that.
No, I'm just trying to place the movie.
Yeah, it's about Helen Keller, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's another one I like. There was what is that thing? Mick and Me, and it was the little alien thing. You got
Mac and Me.
Mac and Me.
Mac and Me. Yeah.
Or The Navigator. That was also my favorite. The Navigator. It was like the never-ending story. It was just a different version way, like a spaceship. It was really cool.
Was the never-ending story the one with the polar bears with the armor?
That's
which one was
Polar Bear Express.
No, that's not Polar Bear Express.
What am I thinking of? There's a little girl, and everybody had all their pets were demons. They call them demons, and they protected them. Like if you had a cat or a bird. Hey, no. Oh God.
There were goblins, and you talk about Cat's Eye.
No.
Salty. Are we behaving ourselves today?
Mr. Salty. Good evening, sir. You missed a banger last night.
Oh no, Salty wanna just.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's just say, good thing you weren't here.
Yeah, just.
Oh, I never deleted it. I just put it on private.
Oh.
Because I was reviewing it this morning.
No, I never behave. He said, "Nope, I never behave."
Of course, he never behaves.
Right. My favorite, like I said, my favorite movie is The Navigator. It's also my favorite movie. Here comes Salty. Salty. Salty, show yourself. So that don't show yourself. I mean,
be nice, Salty.
Yeah,
don't show ugly mug up here.
I think that was a dog, but hold on.
That was a dog.
Tommy, what are you doing?
Salty?
He's not up, but he's up.
Yeah, he's here. That's his pillow. I think it's a pillow. That's his pillow.
That's where all the love happens. That right there. That's where all the love happens between me and the wife.
There you go.
Oh, it's bed.
The fuck was that? Soft porn bomb? Was that a soft porn bomb?
Yeah, soft porn bomb.
Soft porn
Oh
bomb.
God.
Or actually,
Yeah, I can't
That's
get
where
him to
you
add him.
go, huh? Since you want to be Kermit. Kermit marries Miss Piggy.
it was
I'm trying
a
to get him up
salty
here, but I
porn
can't get
bomb.
my thing to pick him up at the stage. Oh,
He's up, but he's down, and I don't know what's going on with it, and I don't know how to fix it.
come back, go down, come back up. I think I got it. I think I got it.
Baby,
It's my
your
buddy.
little son is asleep on the bed.
What are we doing?
I can't see anything. Is he up there?
No,
See, I can't
now
get him
he
up.
is.
Yes.
He's being cold.
Why is he over? Okay, that's weird.
I'm adding you to stage, Salty.
Okay,
Okay,
so
thank
Are
you.
you going
that
to
was
save and stay on stage?
Please don't
Yeah,
jump
that-
off, 'cause I don't know how to work this thing very well.
this was a salty porn bomb. Just so you know,
Please stand back.
this was a salty porn bomb. I was showing you the area where my wife and I make all the magic happen.
Well, it's not like we can do anything about it.
You
I
know.
don't know how to put up anything.
Besides that, I like to multitask when I'm on a live stream. So I mean, if you hear stuff in the background, don't worry. I'm a professional.
I swear to God, if you want to stop making weird noises, I will take your ass down.
Like I said, I'm a professional.
He's a professional.
This shit is not going to hell because we were left in charge. No.
So I missed a zinger last night. What happened last night?
Oh. Go
Somebody
ahead.
got upset over a video.
Somebody got upset over a video.
Yeah.
Somebody did lost their sense of humor. That's what the hell happened.
It sounds like whenever I make a video, people get upset. But you know what? I'm not worried about it.
Well,
Oh, and you're not hearing me wash my hands, and I'll tell you why. Because I didn't piss on myself, so I don't have to wash my hands.
Oh my God, Grant.
Just so you know, I mean, you know.
no, we didn't even know you were in the can. So
Yeah, well, I just got done.
okay.
Oh, excuse me. That asshole behind me keeps talking shit today. Anyway, like I said, people get mad all the time. Like, you know, the problem with YouTube these days is there's too many fucking snowflakes. There's too many snowflakes on YouTube. Everybody gets mad. They're all in their feels. I pulled away from YouTube for the most part, and I rededicated my Salty Rant channel to my internet stalker. And I just made a video about him just the other day. And, you know, the guy's talking about burning down fucking churches and everything else. I'm like,
What
I'm just,
the hell?
yeah, he's just
Oh,
fucking,
thank you.
he's
Thank
fucked
you.
in the head.
Is he a Norwegian death metal fan or something?
Yeah,
No,
right?
he's just a fat, homeless fucking bum that has
Oh.
money. And he smokes a lot of weed, takes a lot of illicit drugs, drinks, and he has illusions of grandeur. And he's still mad because last year he took me to court on a civil court case trying to get $10,000 of my greenbacks, saying he was going to make an example of me so when the trolls F with him on the internet, they're going to look at me as the case example and not F with him. Well, sorry, but he went to court uncontested and unmolested. I didn't even show up because he couldn't get me served the second time, and he lost his case. And the
Good.
case was closed, and the action was done, and now he knows that he can't ever come back to court and make up libelous, slanderous allegations because the court will not believe him. Plus,
Oh,
I
you
installed
missed
Ring
one
doorbells.
thing, too.
I installed Ring.
Another bad bull.
I installed Ring cameras
You
on the
never been home,
house.
Daddy, huh?
I installed Ring cameras on the house, so now if anyone comes to serve me, good luck.
Now, 'cause
Nobody
you missed all
home.
of it last night. It would have pissed you off.
Why? What happened?
Like I
so
said,
Jen was crying on Firefly was crying on fucking camera. I mean online.
Jen was crying on camera?
Yeah.
mhm.
Why?
They showed the video. They were making jokes about the food. The person got offended and lost their sense of humor and told her to take it down. Apparently, first through email, and then I guess he came up on here. And then she said a bunch of stuff and started yelling and got Jen all upset and made Dan come on here.
And it was not a nice one.
And
I
you're
mean-
not going to find the video because we were all told to take it down. The only difference is I did not take mine down. I privated it.
Well, that's too bad. I mean, I don't want to see anybody cry for any reason. I come over here and I'm kind of like, I'm kind of the anti-salty rant nowadays. And I don't really rant too much like I used to. I've mellowed out in my old age. I'll be 57 next month, like in 2 weeks. So
Happy early birthday.
appreciate that. So I'm an old dude, like I'm coming into my maturity, I guess. I even though I'm 57 in a couple weeks, I still feel like 15, 16 in my brain. And I probably act like it.
I was going to say that explains a lot.
I see
Exactly, right?
your text,
Yep.
sweetie, but I don't see you on the thing. I'm sorry.
Like I go to work at night on Graveyard.
Yes, I
and
see you, Duckett. Hello. Huh?
I go to work on Graveyard, and I've got all night to think about stupid shit
Ah,
and how to make stupid videos.
ah.
But if you had seen me
If you don't have a
3,
sense
4
of
years
humor,
ago,
then you don't have sense at all.
if you'd seen me 3 or 4 years ago,
you don't have sense at all.
if you'd seen me 3 or 4 years ago when I first made my Salty Rant videos, they're way
I
different
have.
from the way I make them today.
Okay. Well, then good thing you weren't up here last night.
Yeah, I probably would have gone off on some trolls.
No, it was
You
just
too,
one
Nelson.
troll.
That person was a troll. I
Yeah, it
think
was
that
just
was.
one. And the
What's
reason
the-
I'm not naming
creator?
them by name at the moment is because I don't want to start no shit.
Can you put the name in the private chat so I can see it, and I'll tell you if I know it or not?
Nah.
Mm-mm.
It's all been taken. It's all been
It's
taken
over.
care of.
Paul,
Oh.
Yeah,
Salty,
it's over.
nothing saying say hi.
Hello,
I'm
Nuck and
looking.
Butts. Nuck and Butts. When I come to
Nuck and
Pennsylvania,
Butts.
I'll go to Motel 6 and we'll keep the light on for you.
Keeping the light on.
Oh.
There you go.
I don't know if they
That's an
can see the
invitation.
chat. That's why.
Look,
nothing.
if I don't treat Nuckin this way and joke with her, she's gonna think I'm terribly ill. I've been
True.
treating her this way for years.
I mean,
True.
shoot, I already think you're terribly ill. So
Yeah, well, I'm fucked in the head, but that's only because I live in the land of the fucking fruits and nuts and the snowflakes here in California.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
there's a
don't
reason.
worry
Shit.
about it. We're all fucked in the head in one way or another.
There's a
Well,
reason I call California
Oh,
suck my
okay.
dick, California.
Keep dreaming, Saucy. You have your wet dreams. Laugh out loud. Oh, fuck.
Oh, I have plenty of wet dreams. I'm an old guy. I piss the bed on occasion, so I gotta have to start wearing
You
some
are
adult
very
diapers.
verbal about it.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm old and my body's breaking down. I don't give a shit. I've lived a great life, and if I die tomorrow, fuck it. I've lived a great life. I mean, I lived probably 25, 26 years more than if I would have fucking, been able to have taken myself out of the occasion in 2001 when I put the gun in my mouth. So I'm fucking good, man. I'm good. I put a 1911. I put a 1911 Springfield in my mouth a 1911 45 caliber cocked and locked in my mouth after being drunk for 2 weeks and pulled the fucking trigger and had a misfire. So I'm good. I've been living on borrowed time.
You definitely are borrowed something, because that was some divine intervention or something.
It's just like Man on Fire when he tried to shoot himself and he had a bad primer.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yeah. I mean, look, man. I mean, like, I don't care. Like, I've been so blessed for the last 23 years.
There you go.
I'm not worried about it. You know, and if I can get somebody to not commit suicide by learning from my bullshit or not doing the stupid shit I've done in the past, hey, you know what? It just adds to the karma. Yeah. She did a video several years ago, and I still can't hear it. And she talked to my parents, and they said that they literally stopped the bullet. Like when I was hitting that primer and putting that gun, I was basically had the whole gun in my throat in a 1911, a full-size 1911, throating that motherfucker and pulling the fucking trigger. They fucking stopped the bullet. And I woke up several hours later with it on my chest. The hammer was all the way forward. Slide safeties were off. When I jacked that bullet out of the fucking chamber, I saw the primer popped right in the middle. And the bullet was the size of my pinky. It was a big ashtray round. I think it was a golden saber.
Well,
they stopped the gun for punching.
I believe they were like, that is not your time, dude. They were like, no, that's not how you're supposed to go.
Well, you know, I've had a few arguments with God, but recently, within the last few months, I thanked him for stopping the bullet. But, you know, look, it is what it is. Fuck it, right? You know, it is what it is. I made mistakes along the way. I'm still going to make mistakes along the way, but I've got an awesome wife. We got an awesome relationship. We've been married 19 years. I'm turning 57 next month. And next month, I also celebrate my 19th wedding anniversary.
Aww.
You know? And I've been given everything I've had to one woman. Like, I feel like I married Marge Simpson. I got old blue hair in bed next to me. And that's good.
Hey.
You know? I mean, you know, the older you get, like my wife's older now, you know, so she's not some young spring chicken like she was when we got married. And I'm not young like I used to be, even though I have a young mind, a young attitude. I try to keep things spontaneous with the wife. I try to make her laugh, you know, try to, you know, do things for her, nice things. And so I'm going to touch on a topic most guys... I'm not sure. I'm going to touch on a topic most guys would never talk about. So there's alphas and there's betas, right, in life? Now, there's a difference between being a beta cuck and a beta. I am not a beta cuck, nor will I ever be a beta cuck. But I am proud to say I'm a beta, and I'll tell you why. Because I care about how my wife feels, her feelings. I care about her mother-in-law. I care about her aunt. I care about my friends, male and female. I care about their feelings. And I try to support them in everything they do and everything I try to do as a friend. And you know what? I don't mind people knowing that I'm a fucking beta. I'll put the word beta on me all day, every day. I don't care. Because alphas are the narcissistic pricks in life that take no responsibility for their words or their actions. Try to fucking fuck everybody. Try to fuck everybody and then say, oh, I'm a man. Motherfucker, you ain't a man. You're just a simple bitch with a fucking attitude and a narcissistic personality. Treating people like shit is not being an alpha male.
No.
I don't believe in none of that alpha, delta, beta, whatever shit. That Owen Benjamin shit.
You know,
you are what you is. You're either going to be a good person, or you're going to be an asshole.
You know, I look at it like this: if I could be what I eat, I'd be a pussy all day long.
Jesus. Okay.
You know, I'm just saying, man. I like women. I like all kinds of women. I like all different size, shapes of women.
Eat me. You can eat me now.
No. I don't do pork and beans, buddy. Sorry. My name's not Schemo.
Who?
Emo. My name's not Emo. I'm not going to drop my drink
All
for you.
right. I'm sorry. I'm a little off tonight.
Yeah, it's all right. Smoke a bowl, have a
Something.
fucking drink, whatever, you know.
No, I can't drink. I could drink, but it just doesn't do anything. I mean, I'm on so many fucking medications.
You know, I don't like
look,
drink.
she's back.
I don't like drinking and then falling down and then not remembering where I was at.
You talking about you?
I'm not a he, I'm a she.
I said,
Oh, I
look,
know.
oh look, she's back.
Yeah, we've got 2 she's, and then Jen's another she, and then 2 he's on the bottom. So it's already a good panel because the men are already outnumbered at least 2 to 1.
Yeah.
I can't drink anyway. I have epilepsy and I take medication.
I mean, you know, really, the last time I drank, I woke up in the bathroom, blowing chunks in the toilet, wondering why I was completely naked, and my ass was spackled with peanut butter. I don't know what the fuck happened. And I was at home.
I don't know, but now I'm interested in what the fuck happened.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I mean, I wish I
What
could
the
tell you.
hell you do?
I think my wife did something behind my back. I don't know, but, you know.
The peanut butter
Put that
part
on mine.
What happened?
just doesn't fit.
I'm just
See,
saying.
Nate,
Oh, you did it under everybody. Okay.
And you know what's fucked up is every time I bend over in front of the wife, she's always trying to, you know, fucking grab my ass and go for the goodie hole. I'm always like, no, get out of there. You're not my uncle.
Well, that's all women. That's pretty much all women.
Yeah. Let her get a feel. Let her get a feel. Come on.
Yeah, but she's got these big sausage fingers, and I want to keep her away from the bunghole, dude. I'm like, I don't swing like that. I don't need a prostate massage when we're having sex. Like, I don't need to intensify my orgasm. Just stay away from the bunghole.
What about it? What it is about it? It's more that guys always do that shit coming up behind us and shit. So we want to turn too.
Like I said, I probably shouldn't say this, but years ago, when my wife and I first got married, we explored the anal area. Not on me, on her. And I haven't done it for like 12 years now because we had a bad experience. It was a shitty experience. And I'm like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Oh, shit. Pun intended.
Yep.
Pun intended.
Pun intended.
But I like to make people laugh. Like, you know, if I can't come on here and make somebody laugh, I am not doing my job right.
Well, you got Nuckin's attention.
You did, PD said
I always got Nuckin's attention. That's, you know, neither here nor there.
Patriot said, come on, Salty, you loved it.
Oh.
Whoa.
Wrong. Patriot Defense. Yeah, okay, Patriot Defense. I'll let Patriot Defense have that one. I won't say anything. I'll be nice. But, you know, I mean, like when I'm in my relationship with my wife, I've given her everything. I give her my whole everything, anything she wants, my whole body, except for my goodie hole. You can have everything but my goodie hole. And on her, I can have everything I want. I could have the goodie hole, but I'm like, I've already been there. I've still got kind of a nightmare experience. So I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, we call that the man. No, you cannot have that hole. No.
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah, I told my wife when we first met that I identify as a lesbian trapped in a man's body. And she understood.
Okay.
You know, I also told her I was black from the waist down, and then when she got me naked, she's like, "You're not black from the waist
You're
down."
a liar. You
Yeah.
lied. Hershey Highway.
Yeah, I know what it's called, but you guys that live in Pennsylvania have all been on the Hershey Highway. I had a different Hershey Highway. Speaking of Hershey, speaking of Hershey Highway, where's Jen at?
She had to go. She had to run real quick. She'll be back.
Yeah, she had to make a run real quick. She'll be right back.
You know, she told me she used to drive down the Hershey Highway all the time, going from place to place when she lived in Pennsylvania. I know
Hershey
it's a bad
Highway.
word. I'm probably going to go to hell, but you know what? I'm going to have a good time while I'm down there.
You'll be fine. Don't worry. You ain't going to hell.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with all this. This is a lot of fucking room for nothing.
Oh, so before I go, I wanted to share a joke with you guys. How is a $1,600 stainless steel refrigerator different from Emo?
I give up.
The refrigerator knows when you pull the meat out of it.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Return that joke. Take it back to wherever you bought it from. And
I'm just saying.
just saying.
Too soon?
Wait.
No, too late.
Shut up, Salty. Nobody asked you.
Okay, Jason, have another drink, you fucking drunk.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Honestly,
please
nobody
don't
asked you.
How
They
can you
can't hear
drink?
you.
How can you drink so much alcohol and not get drunk?
Not
I
sure.
can't unmute you. You have to unmute. So there
I'm
we go.
already on.
He's a professional.
What's up, Salt Dog? How you doing, bro?
Hey, you don't have a colostomy bag, do you, Jason? I think that's how he's doing. He's got a
Oh my
colostomy
God.
bag.
Those right here, man. He's got the tube. I hadn't hooked it though, but we're good.
Polly, Polly,
Yes.
why would Firefly leave us with the shit show? Why? We're not trained yet for this.
Salty's fucking
Why?
sound, man. He's a fucking ignorant.
Well, it's something. Now, if Brody were to show up, we'd really have a party.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Brody comes in and it's hard.
Not because it's waiting
Wait,
for
what happened?
Brody.
Flash Canada's coming?
You mean Slosh Canada's coming? All right.
Yeah, fuck. Where's he at?
No, that's right. That's that. One from Little Dog.
Baby Nut. Yeah.
I mean, he loves that. He loves that term too,
Who?
Brody. You call him Baby Nuck.
Oh no, well, yeah, but
Yeah, he does.
even
No,
though
he doesn't,
even
but-
though he's a baby nut, he's still got a penchant for salty swimmers.
Fix your fucking microphone. You've been around long enough not to do this shit. What the fuck's wrong with you, Salty?
Nothing wrong with my microphone. My microphone's just fine. You're the one bleeding over, Jason.
That sounds better. Thank you.
Oh God, we are not trained for this.
You don't have to be trained for fucking StreamYards. It's all good.
You're muted again. Oh, I forgot. I don't have to drink because you can hear me. She just can't talk. There she goes.
Fuck you.
Baby Dog, please come up, baby.
He's at I think a ride right now.
That's cool because he was trying to do that yesterday. I'm like, we had his diet yesterday.
Oh, wait, I gotta read the bottom here.
I don't know. There's that's me.
What the
Copyright
fuck do I need
disclaimer.
for a map on Minecraft?
There's section 107 of the Copyright Act. This disclaimer appears on content. Commonly
What?
YouTube videos.
I'm
that
guessing
uses someone else's copyrighted content, including the state of fair use. Help protect you against copyright infringement claims.
I love that shit.
he heard yesterday.
Never read it to understand it. You need to do that shit.
Oh,
If you fuck up and you copyright claim, they're gonna fucking strike your head. It don't matter if you put that shit down there or not.
yeah, I have heard people do that. So they read the copyright disclaimer, so strike your ass. That's
I know. I had to read it. I had to play with it. But like, straight the fuck up, man. If you're doing what's claimed down there in the reading of that, just because it's on a banner does not mean they're not gonna fucking strike your ass.
Yeah,
Just don't
really.
do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah, YouTube's removing all these channels for crazy shit. First time offenses, everything else.
Nobody's doing that shit here.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't removed my channel.
Because you ain't doing shit either.
No, I'm just giving my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And that's fucking perfectly allowed.
In fact, when my stalker was talking about, imagine a church burning down with a bunch of people inside. I stopped the video with my audio commentary and I said, imagine, Colton Wood, a couple of assailants running up on you from behind with baseball bats and bashing your fucking skull in.
There's nothing wrong with that shit.
Right?
In
There's nothing
Minecraft.
wrong with that.
You got to
But
say
right
in
now-
Minecraft, every violent act, you got to go in Minecraft.
Yeah.
And it just dilutes it. It doesn't mean shit.
I never played Minecraft before.
I never did either.
Yeah, I have to might be a liar. That was
Wow, there she is. There's the centerfold model.
I will tell you, you know shit.
There's the centerfold model. What's up, Jen?
Somebody's got
Not
some
much.
feedback.
Jen, I can't put Salty in his place. He's gonna get boot stomped here right
I
quick.
heard I missed the zinger of a show last night.
Oh boy,
That's your own
that's
problem.
right quick, didn't it?
Was I there?
No, you weren't here last night.
Thank God.
Thanks for that. 'Cause, yeah, I jumped on a panel today and I looked at my avatar and my name. I'm like, oh shit. Where the fuck was I last night?
Well, I've been suffering from high blood sugar, so I slept all day yesterday.
Oh no.
Pressure.
Yeah.
High blood sugar? Oh,
Yeah, and I got high blood sugar today because I only got like 3 hours of sleep.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Try me 2 hours of sleep, Salty.
2 hours of sleep?
Yeah.
You look a lot better than I feel.
Yeah, let's check the
Yeah,
blood pressure.
well, last night you went and saw something different. But like
Yeah.
I said, it's a day.
I was telling everybody jokes and I said, what's the difference between emo and a refrigerator? At least the refrigerator knows when you're putting the meat in.
That's true.
Who got feedback?
Let's check it.
Yeah, somebody's got feedback real
Oh, I
bad.
want a snack.
Salty. He's fucking being a douche. And check my blood pressure.
Oh,
Hey,
you
check
don't know
check
my-
mine while you're at it.
my
You
blood
never got
pressure-
and they can check your blood pressure, your sugar, your oxygen.
I don't need
my
to
blood
check my
pressure
sugar.
alone, even this morning,
My oxygen
was
constantly.
180, 88 over. It was 188 over 88.
Well, my blood pressure's fine, but you know, when I had COVID-19
150
in
over 100.
2020,
My pulse
I
is
got
like-
that little finger monitor that checks the oxygen.
Oh, wow.
And I took that little finger monitor and I put it on my other head, trying to
Yeah.
check the blood sugar, and it didn't work. It didn't register.
Ooh.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I'd love to check the pressure on my other arm, but this thing's way too big for that little arm. I'm not hung like
I
you,
just bring
Selby.
you up on panel, honey.
I know you're not hung like me,
Yeah.
Jason. It's a Canadian
I know.
thing.
Yeah.
Probably because you've been drinking all that maple syrup.
Nope. We can't afford that shit here no more.
This shit's pricey.
You gotta be rich for that shit.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Costs
I'll
me-
send you
I'm
over.
middle
I'll
class.
send you over
I'm
a
middle
gallon.
class.
I'll send you over a gallon of salted swimmers, and you can mix it in your maple syrup next time.
I already had my fucking fill of salty swimmers.
That's all right. We don't need no more.
That's a goddamn pretty.
But you guys take care. I got to get ready for work. Thanks for letting me come up here and vent, and I'll stay in touch.
All right, Salty. You have a good night, hon. Be safe.
Take care.
All right, take care, everybody.
Yeah,
Your
man.
phone's charged.
Why do you have it at the door like that?
Okay.
Holy shit! All the
And how
sound
you
is
doing,
cleared up.
Jace?
Doing great.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
He said
Well,
saucy.
I guess we're kind of going to do it backwards tonight. We're shooting the shit
Why
down.
is
We'll
it
do
when you
the video.
No, that's fine. I'm going to bed here as soon as I finish
Go the
this.
hell back to sleep.
Nah, thank you for coming up. Really, thank you for coming up, man.
Yeah.
I scrubbed over
I got you. I got you.
room and washed. Cool, Knockins. I'm glad you're slowing down a little bit.
I got chicken. I got chicken.
Oh, so do I. You gave
I got-
Dad an idea. The reason why we had to do a food run because you got Dad craving Chick-fil-A.
Really? I had to go for
Really?
the chicken. Oh Lord. See, I can't say it.
That's why I had to go.
He gets a good food thing. He's like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Oh, Nuckins and Jason, so you know, my meds got upped a little bit to another milligram. So my body's gonna be doing a whole bunch of freak out.
Weird stuff.
Oh, here, let me join you on that then. Let's let me get out.
Yeah, well, last night was the first I think I experienced. I mean, last night I went to a wreck a little bit. And Dan said, yes, I was your meds doing that.
I am doing
Mute me. Mute me. I've got no hands to do it. Mute me.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool looking. Take a picture and show me when you do, Nuckins.
Mute? I was trying to say mute.
Oh,
See, y'all motherfuckers got me crashing.
that's a different one. That's a different one. I never saw that before.
I don't
Oh,
for
yay,
that.
there's a drought today. I'm playing Minecraft.
Man.
Cool.
Man, it was just weird. Like I said, today was weird because, like I said, last night I did not sleep too well. I was trying to go to sleep, but the little kids wanted me to come outside. And then the thing of the water. They did not give heads up, man. They did not give heads up.
They did not.
Hi, PD. If you're still in chat. I guess I gotta later on rewind the stream and see what I missed.
Still.
Oh, it was actually cool.
No, everything was good.
That's good.
You might
how
hear me,
do you-
King.
Guy.
What?
I'm just like reading chat quick, catching up.
Nah, Jason was really cool. Jason came up with just like, hang out with us.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought he was actually really cool. He was just telling us jokes. It was really funny.
Cool. Hi, Road. If you're still in. Yeah.
Hi, Kim.
Oh, wait, hit the wrong thing.
Kim.
Hi, Kim. Okay, I got the videos up and ready. I just gotta go to the video part. But it has both channels up, so that way we do one after the other. Then,
Can you do me a favor?
yes, ma'am.
At 9 o'clock for your time will be 10 o'clock. At 9:30, can you tell me to kick off so I can go to bed because I am really tired?
Yes, ma'am. Did you check the sugar though?
Yes, my sugar is actually good. 109 as normal.
Hey,
What
you got the
time?
same as me. Mine was
What
109
time?
too.
9:30 here, 9:30 over there. Because
Yeah.
she's an hour behind us.
Yep.
Because I'm going to bed. I'm sleepy as. Oh, see, and that's not even right. She come and show it to the Chick-fil-A shit. Oh, that's just wrong, girl. You just did your auto. That's how.
When you
No,
showed the chicken, I had proof I had to go get Chick-fil-A.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Hold on. I gotta put my stuff back on. Hold on. Two can play at that game. Two can play at that game too. Okay. You might be agreeing about the Chick-fil-A. I got root beer float.
God damn it, I should grab that too on the way home. Damn it. I'll get that tomorrow. Then Jason left.
That's all I got.
What?
Okay, we had Jason up here, Kim. Bottom for me is Paul. Next to me is Angie, and under Angie is wishful thinking.
I'm above you, actually. Angie below you, I'm above you. Hi,
Oh wow, it shows different on all screens.
Yep. I take Aleve, actually. I like the Aleve. I do take ibuprofen though, but I do like the Aleve. That shit works.
Yeah, I can't take any of that. I have to have the Tylenol 3 or I get an edible. You're welcome.
Yeah, naproxen gives me a heart attack. It feels like I'm having a heart attack if I take that shit.
Right.
Only why I take the Aleve is because I have arthritis. I have what you call junior rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
So,
Wait,
because I have.
is that the bottle?
You think you're special or something? I'm pretty sure we all probably got arthritis. I've got it so bad. My spine looks like something from an alien movie.
No, it says junior rheumatoid arthritis, meaning I had it when I was a teenager.
Oh.
A lot better tonight, Kim. A lot better tonight.
It's junior rheumatoid arthritis.
But she did sound like she was bragging about it, though.
It's right.
I'm with you. You're on the page. Trust me. Oh, it's not to brag about. That's your
I got spinal stenosis and COPD and migraine headaches and no knees. And sciatica with a numb leg. My whole left leg's numb as shit. So I could take a bullet in my leg and I wouldn't even feel it. Well, I probably would feel it, but not as much as if I was shot in the right leg. So I got 5 dead lumbar discs too. So that's probably making my leg doing it.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Wishful, can I tell the story, please?
Right.
Okay, so her brother and his now wife, who have like a bunch of fucking kids. So when they were dating, The dad accidentally, the kids were careless. And he walked in on them. He shot the boy in the leg.
Damn, that's an old fashioned dad there. That's a very old fashioned dad.
For like 20 years.
Yeah. Hi, Star.
Malicious or attempted
Star, I have
murder.
your food in here.
He was trying to shoot him in the other leg, not that leg, but the other leg.
The shorter leg.
Yeah, the shorter leg. I found out later on in time that he was trying to shoot him in the other leg. Oh, she Brody. Hi,
Brody. Is Brody okay?
Everything okay with Brody?
No.
Where's baby? What's going on, baby Nooks?
I gave him the link to come up.
Yeah. He's walking. Come up. He's up here. Come up here. We want baby Nooks. We want baby Nooks.
They're not finished talking yet, so.
I think okay.
I hope so.
It's okay. Probably tired.
Mm-hmm.
Ubering all of that time. It's tiring. I bet you he's tired. I know he can't wait to get into a bed and just drop out. I don't blame him.
Good thing about Uber, you're basically your own boss.
Yeah, that's true. All thing you gotta do is pay for. I think is you have to pay them for your license fee or something like that for your thing for being there.
Yeah, but you got like nobody that It's not like sitting in a cubicle or sitting on the road doing his own thing, which evidently he likes. So.
I can't believe somebody actually gave him a bad star for talking. What the fuck?
He's got Tourette's. He has Tourette's. He can't help it.
Who the hell, man? Listen, what is being graceful? I can't talk to anybody. That's fucking weird.
He could probably legitimately use that. And if somebody tried to fuck with him, you could use the Disability Act to fight that.
Yeah.
He said, that's my mom. They told me when I was a kid. I tell the teacher to get fucked, and he's not really doing that. It's just the Tourette's.
Mm-hmm. Listen, he took some meds, and his meds kind of.
I'm gonna give this guy a bad rating because he talks too much.
That was stupid.
Okay, you breathe too much. What now?
Fuck.
Stop breathing.
People get over yourselves. Stop taking life that fucking serious.
Right.
I
would be more freaked out if the Uber driver didn't say a word.
Yeah, me too. I'd be out. We was in this cab, and this guy, he just kept on the mirror and just breathing really heavy.
Oh wow.
You know how fucking unsettling that was?
Yeah, until we figured out what he was doing.
What was he doing?
You don't want to.
I don't want to know. Well, you brought it up. You brought it up.
Let's just say it involved some
talking to him. Talking in front of the phone. Yeah, he was sitting there doing that.
Okay.
While he's driving, man, I'm sitting here like, no, hell no. Soon as we wasn't even near. We went out now. You don't, cops will be called. We got out. We got refunded and he got fired. I was like, yeah, that was disgusting.
Shit.
I tried to get a friend of mine to come here tonight, but she changed her email. And I'm like, so I tried to find one of her recent videos and leave a comment, and still. But she's really cool.
All right,
She's fun. She's fun as shit. But she's from Texas,
Ooh.
and she's got a Texas accent, and she was raised by bikers.
Ah,
They
cool.
grew up
Get
with
along with her.
they grew up with rockers, but she
Ah,
makes the most greatest stuff, boxes and portraits and just insane shit. It's
Wow.
really, yeah.
I-
So
I would be fascinated with her. I could tell I
you
would.
would be. I'll get hold of her somehow and
Yeah, we'd love
say,
to
come on.
have her in the group.
Yeah, right. We would love to have her on it. You know, hey, what's up? Because that sounds really cool. When they Texas, woo, round up, woo, and round,
No,
round.
please, no.
I love that song. Texas
I
Hold'em.
know you do, but I absolutely hate Beyonce.
Okay.
Well,
Amen to that. I don't care
Okay,
for
we
you.
got a choice on Preston on the Preston net. We got in the presence of external 10 true cases of aliens, and then he's got one that's so weird 10 true UFO cases of extreme high strangeness.
the 10 cases. Let's try the 10 cases first.
They're all
Alright.
good. All this shit's good, I swear.
Oh my God.
He's kind
I
of a
think-
nerd, but he's really shows pictures and maps and shit.
Is Bernie coming up yet?
He'll be here.
I don't know. You don't have to.
No, I'm talking to her. She says she's back. So,
Is
she's
Birdie
on the
okay,
phone.
Nuckins?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay.
Get to where we had it last night. What are you barking about?
Oh, he picked up another passenger. Cool. He is a busy night.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Yeah. Busy night tonight.
Okay. So we got that up, and I have my copyright thing up, so we don't got to worry about that.
Why
We
did this
got
guy?
the warning up at the corner. We got the warning up at the corner, so we're all good. All right, let's get
Oh,
into
cool.
this.
She said, hold up, before you put it on. She said, yeah, he just had to take his memory card from his dash cam down to the police station. Okay, so
Yeah. Did they find the guy, Nuckins? Because I knew last night when Birdie was talking to me, they said that they would get back to him once they found the guy.
do anybody notice that this guy looks like Bill Mummy from Lost in Space? The older. He looks
Good.
like-
Oops, sorry, sugar. Oh. Now she wants to come and say hi.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can get her quick. There she
Hi,
is.
sugar. Hi, baby. Hi, sugar.
Fat free.
Hi, baby.
We know what you meant, Nuckins. Oh, goodness. You got yourself all worked up.
Why are you way over there? Can't you get over here? I've got to read.
Tavi ain't in yet, which is surprising. All right. I'm going to switch. Whoop. Let's see. There we go.
Okay. So,
All right. Everybody
Guys.
ready?
hold on. Before we go on, I was just gonna. Do anybody notice that this guy looks like Bill Mummy from off of Lost in Space? The guy who plays Lemaire and Babylon 5. He looks just like Bill Murray. I swear to God, he does.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
He does. He looks just like Bill Murray. I kid you not.
It does a little bit.
He does. Look at him just a little bit.
All right, that's cool, Nuckins. That'd be really cool. Can't wait till you go back there.
It's gonna be cool. Just if anything falls like you did last time, if it falls down and they say you don't want to be there, you do just like you did before. Just get out. She said,
Yeah.
"Do you have to be there?" And they said, "Come." She's like, "Okay, we leaving." I like that one. That was funny.
Much obliged.
Much obliged. Yeah, I think she was like, "Much obliged. I'm out." Sorry. That was really cool though. She was like, "Do you want me to be here? You know, sitting here?" And the thing said flop. She was like, "Okay, much obliged. Sorry, but go this." That was really unique. But he looks
All
like
right.
Bill Murray. And you with the Chick-fil-A, and you with the Chick-fil-A, you with the Chick-fil-A cup.
Yes.
Why you showing up to Chick-fil-A for? Why you guys
You
showing up?
didn't. You didn't bring enough for the whole class.
Yeah, why? What you showing up to Chick-fil-A for, man? That's some. This is a
Well.
She's a hell. No.
Well, next time we have a formal meeting, I'll make sure I have everybody for that.
You better
Okay.
go eat. Look, you better
I
go eat.
pretty much almost did that, Nuckins.
Yeah, but you ain't. Nothing. Go eat.
You need to get something in your belly.
You're gonna be mad at me, Wishful. I only ate one of those.
Eat.
I only ate one of the cheesy patties.
Baby girl, do you want me to come up there and kick your butt?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. I'm gonna stick Jen on you. I'm gonna
Nuckins,
stick
if
Jen.
I gotta eat, you gotta eat. Go.
Yep, both of you do. I did eat earlier.
I got chicken right here. I'm eating it.
Yep. All
I
right,
have a
everybody
beef
got their
patty sitting here. I just
everybody got their snacks, food, or whatever.
I want to make a root beer.
excuse you. Wait, what?
Can you make me a root beer since you want to show off the root beer?
I know you guys are teasing me with that. That's why you got the Chick-fil-A.
I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna tickle you for that. You get 4 tickles for
Grab something to munch on,
Nuckins,
Nuckins, too,
go
please.
eat.
Grab something to munch on while you're watching this with us.
Jen, you get 4 tickles for that. I swear to God, you get 4 tickles for the Chick-fil-A incident. I swear, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get a good ticket.
And no, you don't get root beer because you asked for coffee and I made coffee earlier. And now there's a whole pot of coffee.
Okay, then I'm drinking the coffee. Well, I'll be in bed very shortly, so all right, that's all right. I'll take that for this morning.
All right, let's get this going here, guys. That way,
4 tickles, Jen.
Yep.
Keep playing. 4
all
tickles.
right.
Chick-fil-A.
Okay, let's do this.
Welcome to a new episode of UFOs and the Paranormal. I call this episode So Weird. 10 true UFO cases of extreme high strangeness. These cases are really off the charts when it comes to weird. They all involve a different variety of cases. So we're looking at sightings, landings, face-to-face encounters, onboard experiences, really the whole gamut. These are cases that do span several decades and definitely come from all over the world. They involve all kinds of witnesses. Some are multiple witness cases. Vast majority of these cases also have physical evidence, but all of them have some really strange aspects to them. Some I don't think I've ever heard before. So that's why I really wanted to do this video for you today, because I think it shows how truly bizarre UFO encounters can be.
My one
and how much
cousin
we have to
saw
learn from them.
UFO up in
Each
the
case
place.
does add to our knowledge of the UFO
I told you,
phenomena. I think these
when I was a
cases
kid,
especially
in the
do,
woods, was
because some of them, as I said, have really unique aspects to them. So the first case that I'd like to
Yeah,
present
that would be
today,
good
I
for
call
the spirits.
weird
But
effects from a UFO. And this one involves two witnesses who were driving along the highway when they encountered a UFO. And the weird effects from this one, yeah, I've never heard this before, so I think you'll find it quite interesting.
Oh, my
This
computer's
case took
glitching.
place in November 1953 and involves two witnesses, Trygg Jansen and Gudrun Buflod. This is a
that's
man
when
and
they
a
back
woman,
were trying to
and they
figure
were
out how to
driving
do
along
Area
the
51.
Mosevi Road, and this circumnates the massive Jerson Lake. And I'll just quote Trygg directly, as he says, "We noticed a luminous object that did not go straight ahead high up, but that really was maneuvering around at a low altitude. Sometimes it disappeared out of sight, but all of a sudden it was back again, flying in wide circles over the woods and the lake. Then it came down low, close to the sides of the car, and on one occasion I had to move away as far as I could when the thing swept close past the door of the car." So this thing is coming so close to the car, it's practically touching it.
Wow.
And this is when Trygg told his passenger, Gudrun, "Another thing like that, and I will."
What nut or what wishful?
oh hell no, man! They playing chicken with the damn UFO with the flying saucer. Fuck no, that bitch is playing chicken, man. Fuck no. He going at him and they going this way and it's coming at them. Oh hell no, it's playing chicken with the UFO. No, fuck no.
Yep,
They're playing
exactly.
chicken, huh?
Exactly.
They-
I wouldn't play chicken with it.
Yeah, right. It's playing chicken. No, we good, dude. You keep the road. I got this way. Fuck y'all. You go ahead. I'm good.
Okay, here we go.
Stop the car. So Trygg continues his story. As he says, "Just as if my words had been comprehended by the driver of this strange craft, it made an attempt to turn and kept right towards us. It came down over the road, some 10 meters in front of us. It did not land on the road, but hovered a bit above it. Nor did it stand still, but moved gently to and
Hold
fro
on,
in our
Nuckins.
direction. Well, there
She wants me to rewind it a little bit. She missed that part with the car.
Nuckins, if to
right
put it
there.
in layman's terms, hold on. Nuckins, to put it in layman's terms, the UFO was playing chicken with the car, literally trying to swerve at it to see if it would move or whether it just sit there. And apparently, the car moved. Apparently, the car moved.
Yep. Okay, here
I
we
would
go.
move too.
involved witnesses, Trygg Jansen and Gudrun Buflod. This is a man and a woman, and they were driving along the Mosevi Road, and this circumnates the massive Jerson Lake. And I'll just quote Trygg directly, as he says, "We noticed a luminous object that did not go straight ahead high up, but that really was maneuvering around at a low altitude. Sometimes it disappeared out of sight, but all of a sudden it was back again, flying in wide circles over the woods and the lake. Then it came down low, close to the sides of the car, and on one occasion I had to move away as far as I could when the thing swept close past the door of the car." So this thing is coming so close to the car, it's practically touching it. And this is when Trygg told his passenger, Gudrun, "Another thing like that, and I will stop the car." So Trygg continues his story. As he says, "Just as if my words had been comprehended by the driver of this strange craft, it made an attempt to turn and kept right towards us. It came down over the road, some 10 meters in front of us. It did not land on the road, but hovered a bit above it. Nor did it stand still, but moved gently to and fro in our direction. Well, there it was, a flying saucer. So this object was pretty small, just big enough to block the road. According to Trig, it was yellowish in color. It had a red hot ring around the circumference and a dome on top. And on either side, it seemed to be releasing some sort of glowing gas or...
Probably Knuckins, because that's a pretty small craft.
No, that wasn't Knuckins that was...
It is pretty... Oh my god, I've never seen a UFO like that.
Like I said, that was me who wrote that when I said teenage aliens learning to drive.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see the other ones just popped up now.
That looks like some BBC shit from Doctor Who.
Man, listen, that's some fire shit. Some teenagers learning how to fly, and I was like, what the hell? That's some shit like them. They were like learning how to drive or something, and the teenage driver, you know, and the parents is probably in the car and the UFO talking about, boy, if you don't pull this thing up.
Yeah, that's an actual pic of it, Knuckins. That's a true pic.
Stop fucking
No,
with
I think that's an artist
They don't know you're
rendition.
playing with them.
Oh, wait a minute. What's up, Paul?
I think that's just an artist rendition of it.
Well, yeah. I said I don't remember UFOs being that color. If it, you know. But all right, here we go.
I'm just saying. I think
almost looked like wings, he says. And this was much more prominent when it was flying, but when it stayed still right in front of him on the road, these became much shorter. And as Trigg says in his own words, I had an intense feeling that something or somebody within gazed at the two creatures who were sitting in the earthbound vehicle, the car, feeling small and foolish. For my part, I've never felt too small or gotten such a dizzying perception of the infiniteness of the universe. I was never scared stiff. In a manner unexplainable but yet obvious, it felt as if a message from the space visitors reached me. It told me he was friendly and that we had nothing to fear. The soothing influence was indeed needed. We had no idea what might happen in the next second. The apparition hovered there close to us for about a minute, but these 60 seconds seemed to last as long as 60 hours. Presently, the brilliance increased, the wings extended, and the craft took off. It went over the automobile so low that I felt it grazed the top. Then it climbed right up, flew across the lake, away over the woods. So this object was totally silent during the whole encounter, but as it disappeared, they heard a, quote, dull bang like thunder. So if all of that is not weird enough that this UFO kept swooping towards the car, blocking the road, and then flew right at the car, almost hitting the roof, what happened next is very weird. Trigg reports that after the encounter, his face and hands were sunburned, but his friend, Gudrun, reports that both her arms, or at least one of them, remained paralyzed for some time after the encounter, to the point that she could not even hold her purse. So these are pretty intense physiological effects.
Wow.
But wait, there's more. Trigg's watch stopped at the exact moment the saucer blocked them on the road, and he did try to get it fixed, but the watch repairman said that he was unable to fix it, and that it appeared as if the watch had been, quote, over-magnetized. It's even more weird. When Trigg and his passenger arrived home, Trigg's wife greeted them outside of the doorway and exclaimed, "Heavens, Trigg, have you bought a new car?" And I'll just let Trigg explain what she means by this. As Trigg says, She could not be convinced that the car was the usual old one until she had inspected its interior. Indeed, its exterior showed something different. Its usual beige-yellow color had disappeared. Instead, it shone a beautiful verdigris green, like phosphorizing, so kind of glowing almost. Unfortunately, this new color did fade away pretty slowly, but it did fade away. So, as Gudrun says, this could not be due to any imagination of my wife. Certainly, she had not the faintest idea of our strange encounter. So, yeah, it changed the color of the car. That's not weird. I don't know what is. They both later learned that people in the area had also seen UFOs around the same time, but meanwhile, the strange effects continued. The next day, they had a party, and Trigg's wife prepared dinner, but neither Trigg nor Gudrun had any appetite whatsoever. They couldn't eat. As Trigg says, neither Ms. Blufad or I could get down the slightest bit of, nor did we feel like telling the people of our experience. We felt altogether too dazed and overwhelmed. Needless to say.
Hey, Bouncer. Wait a minute, let me read. Usually when I see something identified, I don't say anything about it for a few weeks or more. There's a lot of people that do that. And again, if you didn't hear me, for tonight's stream, it goes to Paul for the credit because he pulled up the videos for this, or the channels. So Paul gets credit tonight.
Yeah.
Man, okay, before we go, let's all discuss this. What do y'all think was going on?
It's a freaking UFO. We don't understand it. Not totally, but
they're not really showing it except for that car that he said that car.
It's just putting stories together with what he's got. Yeah. Sometimes he has real pictures. So
it prevents being treated like a nut. Good work, Paul.
Thank you. We'll be first.
I think it was some teenage alien learning to drive, and the parents is in the car with, like, when the kid is learning to drive, and your parents are sitting in the car with you, like, if you don't stop driving like that, it's probably.
That could be. We don't know how they teach their kids to drive.
Yeah, the kids could have took it out for the Friday night, and it's kids looking around.
Yeah, make it loud, hey, yeah, look at our drive.
Let's go fuck with the Homo sapiens. Yeah.
Let's go fuck with the sapiens. Let's see what they're going to say. Well, my UFO out without my permission. Well,
the humans are saying they saw in a UFO and specifically pointed out crap that looked like ours. Did you
like the alien, like I'm gonna go do my physics now.
Right.
I'm gonna go do physics now.
Okay, let's continue this.
This encounter changed Trigg's mind about UFOs, and as he says in his own words, I have never been specially interested in the phenomenon called flying saucers. I've never believed nor disbelieved. Now I am compelled to believe in what I myself and another person of good judgment have seen. The most peculiar thing was, I thought that the mystical stranger chose my little car as an object for study, and I am glad I was not alone. Had I been alone, I am afraid that I at times would have doubted what I myself had experienced. So, yeah.
Sorry for the pause. That's actually true, Bouncer. Bouncer goes, aliens are not aliens to our planet. They have huge civilization beneath the bodies of the water on Earth. they have been here much longer than the humans, and that is true.
That is true. I mean,
Hi,
that's not,
JX.
well, welcome, Penix. Welcome to our chat.
Welcome, welcome in.
Oh my
And
gosh, weird.
if you never been here before, we do different stuff each day. There's only 2 rules in the chat: common sense and respect.
That's it. That's the only thing we ask. Other than that, have fun.
Yep. Enjoy, join in the conversation if you like. We all have a good time here. See, Bouncer says they stay out of the solar radiation as much as possible. We saw them going into the ocean frequently while on the aircraft carrier Independence. Right?
Oh, yeah, that's what's up. Well, that'll explain why they fly around. I mean, they were here first. They just coming out to investigate, how our civilization changed throughout time. That could be something.
Hey, maybe they could teach us something that we're not doing.
Yeah, right? Maybe they could come out here and, maybe help us with the atmosphere and maybe get rid of some idiots. Just
True.
saying.
True.
Idiots.
Okay, here we go.
I mean, he thinks that's the strangest part. I honestly think the strangest part is that his car changed color. But yeah, it appears that this, for whatever reason, UFO targeted his car. Maybe they changed it on purpose. I don't know. It's weird. But Trig does have a final end note. He says that he regretted not having his camera with him, which he had actually planned to take but had forgotten. And he now carries it with him at all times. But as he says, I rather wish I would be spared from meeting another saucer. A really remarkable case. I mean, this is a UFO that actually changed the color of someone's car, and some very interesting physiological effects as well. So yeah, off the charts weird. And here's another case of a kind that I have heard before, but this is such a good example. I call this one very close to Crater Lake in Oregon. And well, I'll just get into the case because it kind of speaks for itself. Quite a few witnesses in this one, and this has got to be one of the weirdest encounters I've ever heard. This case took place on July 2nd, 1954, and is definitely one of the weirdest I've ever heard. It comes from APRO, the Aerial Phenomenon Research.
I remember this case that's coming up because it got exposed when Area 51 had just gotten exposed. They were talking about this. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty, it is.
I wonder if they're going to talk about the one Fire in the Sky, because there's one called Fire in the Sky where the guy got abducted. And they actually made a movie about it called Fire in the Sky, where he actually got abducted and he was telling the whole story.
Travis Walton.
Yep, there you go.
Yep. A lot of butthurt people. Maybe they were probed. Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't put it past it if they were.
Yeah, I mean, aliens do come in many different forms, so maybe they, came and, started probing, and maybe it kind of jammed something wrong way. Jammed somebody's bad frequency.
Minnesota was a hotspot in the mid-70s, and we had people visit us in school about the sightings. We were coached what to say. Oh, wow, Bouncer.
We had sightings up in upper New York in the 80s, and they had people come out and tell us the same. Like, y'all didn't see much. It was just, you might have seen lights going in the sky, like planes or something. Yeah, that was not a plane. I'm sorry. That ain't a plane.
Yeah, but just even recently in the what was it? The early it was the early 2000s. I forget which year exactly. But we had that one weird flying thing that was flying through the air and freaked everybody out.
Oh yeah, and over in Pennsylvania. Yes, I remember
Yes.
that. They had this flag thing that we don't know. Nobody know what the hell it was, but it was zigzagging all over the Pennsylvania areas.
Yeah, and it was real low too.
Yeah, and it was not just the Upper Pennsylvania. It was Upper Pennsylvania. It came from Upper Pennsylvania all the way down towards Philadelphia. Even the people in Philadelphia got to see that shit. That shit was weird as hell. Like some alien had got drunk and was just going off. What the damn
Yeah, and then the
story?
news came on and said, "Oh, it was just a comet." Okay, if
That
that
was
was a comet, how the hell did the comet would have broke in a thousand pieces when it hit the atmosphere here? That
yeah.
wasn't a goddamn comet.
And how come everybody in Pennsylvania had seen it? That's another thing. How is it everybody in Pennsylvania from the north, from Upper Pennsylvania, where is Shamokin, Poconos, all the way down to the greater Philadelphia area, got to see this thing?
Yeah. Hi, Mama Cookie.
Hi, Mama Cookie. Like I said, how is it that all of these people got to see this and it was some kind of comment? Nah. Get the hell out of here with that. Get the fuck out of here with that. That is not a comment.
Thank you,
That's
Nuggets.
not a
You want to get something to eat, honey? Let's see. Bouncer says some kids were separated from the rest of us. Many of them became straight A students afterwards. Oh wow!
Oh. Can you
And
say blackmail, my man? Can you say blackmail?
yeah. And then he says, I remember being told not to speak about the animal mutations or the blackouts. Yeah, I remember hearing about that too.
Like I said, here in Pennsylvania, they try to tell everybody over here that they didn't see shit. They were seeing comment. Nah, how the hell is everybody in Pennsylvania? And Pennsylvania is huge. Seeing that shit.
If
Now,
the comet would have ever came through the atmosphere, it would be broken 1,000 pieces, or it would land and making a big ass crater.
Yeah, we'd have been F-U-C-K if we could see a comet moving through the air. You see a comet, it's usually just stationary in the sky. It's not even moving. So, you saw Venus instead, or a balloon, or a flock of birds, or
Right.
and we all saw that shit. It was, like I said, never forgot that shit. It was like, oh, it was just a freaking, common. Nah, man. How the hell did the whole greater Pennsylvania, and if you look at Pennsylvania is huge. And everybody from the north of Pennsylvania up to down to Philadelphia themselves was talking about this thing and seen it. So how is it that from Upper Pennsylvania down to Philadelphia, people were seeing it? That is not a comment. And I'm not going to believe that shit.
I told you that on Roadhog Kennels Down. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Oh, guess who? I'm going to make it real big quick. Guess who's joining us? I told you she would.
The princess.
I told you.
She just had to hear. She just had to hear all of us in music.
Yep, stream a whore. Stream a whore. Stream.
Yeah.
What the people? Okay. Well, I'm gonna let y'all take this over. If anything, call me. It is now in my time, 10:30.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to do.
Hop down, watch the stream, and fall asleep.
You told us to tell you to go to bed at 10:30.
Yeah, he said go to bed. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a good stream.
Yep, you have a good sleep, sweetheart.
I will.
All right. Okay, guys, let's get back into this.
Organization, and Coral Lorenzen, writing about this case, called it one of the most interesting reports she had received, and says, "We have presented it because of the radical departure from known descriptions of other similar cases, which is putting it lightly, I think. So this case comes from a lady who wishes to remain anonymous. They call her Mrs. R. And Mrs. R was on vacation with her mother, brother, sister, 2 daughters, a stepdaughter, and 2 nephews.
Oh, wow.
So quite a large family. And they were driving along US Highway 97 in Oregon, heading north, as you can see here. And they were southeast of Crater Lake. They estimate about 10 miles south of the junctions between Highway 97 and Highway 138. And they noticed they were beginning to get low on gas, and so they were hoping to reach a food and gas stop. So they were looking for some place to stop, and coming around a corner in the highway, they found a place to stop. It was this very unusual looking restaurant. They described it as being very large,
All right.
perfectly round, brilliantly illuminated, just really beautiful. And as they drove up to it, their car engine died, and they coasted into a, quote, beautiful covered parking area. They did notice 3 or 4 other cars there, and they also noticed unusually bright lights were shining down from this apparent building. So they went inside, and they found themselves in this bright circular room, and they were immediately entranced because it looked so weird inside. The walls, they said, looked mirror-like. They sat down at a little table, which also struck them as very unusual because it appeared to be made of what looked like glass or plexiglass, the whole thing. They've never seen a table like that.
Oh, wow.
So Mrs. R's brother, his name is Cliff, he started looking around, and he motioned them to look at the adjoining room through a little doorway there. So they got up and they looked at this other room, which was also perfectly round and had lots of windows. All
Nuckins, he's saying that was supposed to be a restaurant. But that's pretty damn good for back then if they did make that a restaurant.
Yep.
I don't know.
Or Jackie Gleason. Didn't Jackie Gleason have a UFO house?
Yep.
Didn't he build a house? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, matter of fact, he built 2 of them. One that wasn't too far away from Area 51 and then the one over in Oregon.
Yeah, I guess if you got money, you can do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's also a tourist trap, too. You're right.
But you know that area, that Crater Lake area, that's a high amount of people go missing in that area.
Mm.
Yeah, like the missing 411 guy, Dave Politis.
Oh,
He
wow.
says, do not go hiking by yourself there.
Definitely not.
Yep.
And make sure you're able to have a phone that actually can reach out.
Yeah, and a pistol and a emergency sounder and all kinds of shit.
Definitely. Okay, here we go.
the way around the circumference, they were all about 2 feet from the ceiling. And they also said that the interior of this structure was very brightly lit. And it gets weirder. So they're sitting there at their table, and a waiter and waitress approach. And boy, did they look weird. They were both blonde, very petite. They looked almost identical, as if they could be brother and sister.
Oh, wow.
But get this, they were about 4.5 feet tall. And to put the icing on the cake, they and all the other, quote, employees all wore these weird silver uniforms and boots. The boots had a black trim on the soles and heels.
Nikes.
So they looked strange. They had strange clothes, and they certainly acted strange. Because the waiter and waitress, they said, spoke with voices that were oddly soft and kind of musical. So Mrs. R remembers telling her mother that this place was, quote, really unbelievable. So they do have some memory issues with what happened. They did order a meal. They remember eating They don't remember what. They don't remember what they said. There really wasn't a whole lot of conversation. But she does remember paying the bill, going up to this little round-shaped booth, paying the bill, and then exiting the establishment. Now, when they got into the car, it wouldn't start, but they coasted out onto the highway, and the car immediately started, and they drove off. Now, at this point, they saw that their tank was half full, which was a little unusual because they thought it was less than that. So they continued their drive up to Highway 138, which was 10 miles ahead, and they saw workmen with snowplows clearing the road to Crater Lake. And Mrs. R stopped and asked them about this weird new cafe that they had stopped by 10 miles back along Highway 97. And she said that the man operating the snowplow looked at her as, quote, as if I was a nut or something. So she didn't know what to make of that. They still hadn't really put the pieces together at this point. They drove up to the next city, Chenault, and they got gas. And it was at this point that Mrs. R's stepdaughter announced that she had forgotten her purse at the restaurant. So they turned around and headed south back down Highway 97 to the location of the restaurant. But it was gone. They could not find it. So they're driving down the road looking for it. Cliff, Mrs. R's brother, offered the explanation that maybe they had taken the wrong.
I wonder what they would. I wonder what they would say if they went to the police, which we'll find out. What they would say about the purse being missing.
I think it was.
If they go to say about a restaurant, they're probably going to look at them like, huh?
It was a screen memory. They got abducted, and the aliens implanted fake memories in their head.
Right. But still, I mean,
yeah, a big mushroom-looking restaurant. I said, "Wow, hey, the car stalled. Hey, how convenient. Here's a restaurant."
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of looking. I don't know. My gator's kind of going off on this one. I don't know why.
Let's see. Tom and I wanted the most perfect man and woman walk into Lake Racetown and just disappeared right before our eyes. They built lakes for them. Oh, wow. Wow, that'd be something to check out. Definitely.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Wrong road, but Mrs. R pointed out that there was no other road. There is just Highway 97. That's it. So they drove past the spot where they thought this restaurant was, still looking for it. And finally, they knew that there was no way it could be farther ahead on the road. They turned around again, still didn't see it, drove all the way back up to the city of Chenault. And they went to this restaurant, and by coincidence, those same workmen who were operating the snowplows were there. So they again asked them about this weird new restaurant. And once again, these workmen gave them really strange looks. And so they didn't know what to make of that. They returned from their vacation, and here's where it gets even weirder. They completely forgot about the incident for at least a few years until suddenly Mrs. R recalled the experience. And it took a while for her memory to come completely back. And finally, she asked her mother if she remembered this weird restaurant. And the mother said, and I quote, "Yes, I remember, but sometimes when I think of it now, I have a funny feeling, like maybe we were a surprise to them," meaning the people at the, quote, restaurant.
Well, yeah.
And Mrs. R remembered another detail which really baffled her. She later recalled that when they had arrived at the city of Chenault after visiting this restaurant and paying for their food, she thought, well, she had the same amount of money, so she could not have paid for the food at the restaurant. She kept very, very careful watch of how much money she had, and she still had all her money. So they later went back to this spot several times looking for this restaurant, and of course, there was no sign of it. So this is a remarkably weird case, but I do know of others like it. There was another case where a gentleman and his family overheated on a highway in Nevada, and he opened the radiator cap and got a real bad burn on his hand.
Ooh.
And they were driving to town and came upon a hospital which treated them for his burn. And later they found out that this hospital did not even exist. So there's another case of a UFO in disguise.
Damn.
And there are others. Bud Hopkins talks about a case involving Debbie Jordan Cobble, who thought she was going to a 7-Eleven. Of course, that's not what it was at all. It turned out to be a UFO. And if I remember correctly, John Mack had a very similar case involving kids who went to a fun house or an arcade. So apparently these things do happen. I really wish there was more follow-up on that particular case, but as you can see, it's not the only example of this. I'm thinking that sometimes UFOs will sort of put themselves in disguise.
Yeah.
Not you guys.
This,
Sorry.
I think, might fall under the category of screen memory.
What's the matter, sweetie? Angie. Okay. Let's see. There are others that live beneath the surface, excuse me, of the earth with literally millions and millions of miles of tunnels all around the world. Oh, yeah. Most definitely, Bouncer. And you also got to remember all those tunnels, when we were back in the wars, they were being used too. So, who knows, they might be using it yet today, those tunnels. These, aircrafts, UFOs and everything.
Memories. But that usually involves just the ETs and not so much the UFO itself. But yeah, as you can see in this case, it does. It's such a weird case. And here's another one. I like this case. It's very interesting. Lots of witnesses and some really strange physical evidence as well. And I call this case a UFO deposits.
Everything okay, Angie?
Yeah, I was making sure she was okay. I heard running water, so I was like, what the hell?
She all right?
Yeah, she's fine.
Okay.
Unusual material. And this one took place in France, in Beaucourt. Let me see if I get this right. In Beaucourt-sur-Lancre, France. And there's a lot of reasons that this case is so interesting.
Bouncer.
Not only are there multiple witnesses, not only does it have some really unusual effects, but it's got humanoids as well. And it lasted quite a long time.
What?
This very bizarre case occurred on May 10, 1957. And it's quite remarkable because it does have 6 witnesses. It got some pretty good press coverage as well. And it began when 29-year-old Michel Fekete was bicycling home on the Beaucourt Road, seen here. And this is just a short little road, so it had to be pretty close to this area exactly. It was around 10:45 p.m. when he says he was, quote, dazzled by a bright light. So he was quite alarmed by it. This was clearly unusual, and he hid behind a telephone pole and watched as 4 small men, he estimates about 4 to 5 feet tall, approached him in what he says is, quote, a threatening manner. He says that they were carrying a brilliant light, which made it very hard to see them other than silhouettes. But they clearly were not normal people. So he ran to the nearest home. It turned out to be the residence of the Lepotz family. And they said he was almost incoherent and kept shouting that he had been attacked. As the witness Michel said, "Let me in quickly. A flying saucer has landed and I was attacked." So they let him in, and they all rushed to the window to see what he was talking about. They turned out the lights in the house, and now they could clearly see a glowing object landed on the ground. It was flashing red, yellow, and white lights. It was pretty close, no more than 150 feet away. And they could also see the three men, who they said appeared to have oversized, dark-colored heads. All the figures were wearing gray suits, sort of like overalls or coveralls, and they were moving from the road to the field with this strange, tottering gait. No short.
I would be literally, if I saw that, I would be literally pissing. I would be pissing my pants and running to a corner. My gosh. Let's see, there are at least 10, maybe more inhuman species that currently behind and with humanity by using technology that we haven't created yet. Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying they are more advanced than what we are. We're only starting to catch up to them.
We'll never catch up to them.
Yeah, you would be, Knuckles. You'd be the one running out there towards it. You okay, Paul?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be running with Knuckins and saying, "Get me the fuck out of here."
No, Knuckles be running to film it.
Well, I'd be running to get in.
Yeah.
This crazy fucking place.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Shortly later, another neighbor arrived, Monsieur de Manchot, and they all watched this for about 20 minutes. Finally, a car approached on the Beaucourt Road. At this point, the light on the object immediately went out, though the witnesses could still easily see the figures in the car headlights, and they believed that the driver of this car had to have seen them too. But whether he did or not, they don't know. The car drove on, and as soon as it was gone, the lights on the object flashed back on. But now this object appeared to be floating above the road. It then rose quickly and darted off to the northeast at a 45-degree angle and was gone. And all the witnesses were very deeply impressed by this sighting. As Monsieur Lepat says, and I quote, "I saw very clearly a luminous ball from which red and yellow rays escaped. The craft was moving slowly. It was big, like that. Soon after, I distinguished the silhouettes of three small men who remained for nearly 20 minutes, coming and going in the field and on the road." And as Mademoiselle Lepat says, his wife, "I was treating my sick little girl when I heard Mr. Fekete, who was shouting outside, 'Come and see, I just got attacked.' I went out and I saw a tremendous light." So these are numerous witnesses who are confirming Michel's story. And here's another witness who had a little bit of a different story. This is Monsieur Châtelain. He's actually the mayor of the town. And he said that the witnesses, were wrong and that the report was misidentified. He says, this is Monsieur Châtelain, "At that hour, our daughter was touring the cattle in the fields at the very place where the Martians would have appeared. Ella wore a big storm lamp to light herself." So he's saying that they didn't see a UFO or ET figures and that it was his daughter.
Really?
And later he said,
Yeah.
"The flying saucer, it was my wife." So he's issuing contradictory statements, and it clearly wasn't, because there were three figures there. This was a very large craft. It had multiple colored lights. It went up into the sky. It took off at a 45-degree angle. So this is clearly a debunking explanation. And all the other witnesses are, of course, convinced they saw something very strange. But here's where it gets even weirder. The witnesses examined the landing site. And they found large black plaques, they described, or patches of, quote, "an elastic nature." Now, there's not a lot of information on this, and some of it is
Okay, real quick. That's yeah. You got that right. It's like I said, their technology was ahead of ours. Way ahead of ours. And Mama Cookie's saying hi to you.
Well, no, I'm trying to type 3 times in there. So every time I type, it comes in twice or 3 times. So I guess that's good in a way. I'm getting a new computer. This will be fixed.
Well, it has to do with YouTube too. YouTube, they're messed up right now. They need to go back in and fix what they messed up, so they can create another problem.
Yeah, their new format sucks too.
Yep.
Yeah, they got it's screwy. What the hell?
Yeah, big time screwy. I do that my thing does that every now and then too. Okay, here we go.
contradictory because other reports state that the material was a 15-foot wide circle of, quote, asphalt-like material. So whatever this was, however large it was, it hadn't been there before, and all the witnesses believe that it was deposited there by the UFO. And according to at least one source, it was in fact identified as asphalt.
Exactly,
but I don't know,
bouncer.
because it certainly doesn't sound like what the witnesses said they saw, which were, black plaques of an elastic nature. So that's not all the physical evidence, because this did attract the attention of many researchers who tested the area, and they found that the iron fence posts along the road where this craft was seen were strongly magnetized. So again, this did get quite a bit of press attention, and some of the reporters absolutely bought Monsieur Chatelain's explanation.
Area 51, it was bad.
And the police chief also said that he had received several calls from people in the area seeing UFOs, but said, quote, the whole affair is a collective hallucination. Well, I don't agree. I mean, the witnesses made it very clear that this was a landed UFO with occupants. There's multiple witnesses. They watched it for 20 minutes. There's physical evidence of different types. I think it's a really interesting case. So that's the Beaucourt-sur-Lancre, France case, which is undeniably true with that many witnesses. This is clearly not a hoax. And I really wish we knew what happened to that material and if it truly was asphalt, because that doesn't make sense, and it certainly doesn't match the description of what the witnesses said. So it's entirely possible, I think, that there was a cover-up of that physical evidence. Certainly wouldn't be the first time something like that has happened. And now we move to another case, which is, again, is just so weird. And this one occurred in Long Prairie, Minnesota. And this one I call the Alien Robots. This is technically a single witness case, at least at first glance, but as it turns out, there were numerous other witnesses to what is apparently the same object. But what this gentleman describes is, I don't think I've heard another case like it. It is just so weird, as we shall see. So the main witness in this case is a young man, 19 years old, by the name of James Floyd Townsend. He sometimes goes by the nickname Jerry. But it was around 7:15 p.m. on October 23rd, 1965, and James was driving west along Highway 27, and he was about 4 miles east of Long Prairie, Minnesota. And I'll just let James describe what happened, because it's so weird. As he says, I went around a bend in the road, and my car engine stopped running, and my headlights went off. I looked up, and I saw this object sitting in the middle of the road. I coasted to a stop about 20 feet from it. I sat and looked at it for what I would estimate a minute. So not only did his car and headlights stop, his radio was on at the time. That also stopped. And James estimates that this object was 30 to 40 feet high, 10 feet in diameter, and shaped very much like a conventional
Hi,
rocket.
Randy.
And in fact, it was, or appeared to be, resting on fins. He said it was silver in color, and it was blocking a good portion of the road. It was casting a big circle of light, brilliant, around it on the road. Very, very bright. And I will just quote James again. As he says, "Then I knew what it was, and knew that nobody would believe me. So I decided that I would have to knock it over and have some evidence. I tried to start my car, but it would not start. Then I got out of my car with the idea to go up to it and try to rock the center of..."
Yeah, that would be something. I'm going to stop this real quick. Yeah, that would be something to really ask our government. Because he says NASA was originally ocean exploration, but quickly changed to space. Ask yourself what they found, what are they afraid of, and why look for habitation on another planet. That's very good questions. That's something we got to do and ask our government. Hi, KJ. Okay, here we go.
Of gravity and T-pole it over. So I would have the evidence right there in black and white. So he's basically thinking about knocking this thing over. And as he says, I got to the front of my car and stopped with no further interest in going any further because 3 little creatures came from around behind and stood in front of the object. I think they were looking at me. I cannot be sure because I did not see any eyes of any sort. I know that I was looking at them, and I was quite fascinated at what I saw. So he stopped at this point out of caution. The little beings, he said, were very small. They looked kind of like tin cans or beer cans. They were only about 6 inches tall.
I wouldn't ask it on my
They had
desk, but I
much
would
the
ask
same
it straight
appearance
out.
of the craft
their
itself,
faces.
with little
Not on my
fins on the
deathbed.
bottom. The only difference was they were flat on top and brown in color. But they were using these 3 little fins on the bottom to maneuver. He says they walked awkwardly in kind of a waddling gait, and they appeared to have 3 little arms sticking out like matchsticks. And James felt that these robotic little creatures were aware of him and watching him. So James continues his testimony as he says, I used what I hope was common sense. I felt if they could stop my car like they did, they could surely do something worse to me. And I wanted to live to tell this story so the people of the United States would know that there were things of this nature. I stood and looked at them for what seemed to be like ages, about 3 minutes. They then turned and went under the object, and a few seconds later, the object started to rise slowly. Now, at this point, he could hear this object making a high-pitched humming sound, and off it went, straight up. He said after it gained a few thousand feet, the lights on the object went out, and he said his car engine started to run. The headlights came on, as did the radio. He did make a cursory examination of the landing site, but it was dark. He didn't see anything, and he was really frightened at this point. So he drove straight to the Todd County Sheriff's Office and made a report. Sheriff Bain took the report, and James told Sheriff Bain, and Sheriff Bain confirms this. James said, I am not crazy, nor am I drunk, neither am I ignorant.
Exactly, Bouncer.
Sheriff Bain said that
We're
James
getting
appeared
told
to
so
be,
much
quote,
lies
excited,
that
nervous, and shaky.
It's
So
crazy.
the sheriff wanted to return to the site. James didn't want to do it, but he finally agreed. So they went to the site and didn't really see anything on the ground at this point because their attention was diverted to the object, which was still in the sky. Now it looked like an orange light, and it was moving about overhead. And in fact, Officer Lubitz, who accompanied them, said it was, quote, flickering off and on and leaving a sort of yellow tail. So they went there the next day in daylight, both Sheriff Bain and Officer Luverne Lubitz, and they did find some weird evidence. They found 3 parallel strips of a strange oily substance. These were 4 inches apart and about 3 feet long, but did not appear to be oil, because as Sheriff Bain says, I don't know what they were, but I've looked at a lot of roads and I never saw anything like them before. So this started to get a lot of attention because it turned out there were many other witnesses in the area who had apparently seen the same object at the same time. In fact, just 15 minutes before James saw this object on the road, a gentleman by the name of Ray Blessing was looking through his telescope and watched what was apparently the same object dart from horizon to horizon very quickly.
Yeah, you know what, Bouncer? That's what they keep on doing. But yeah, people do go missing when they start talking about stuff and having evidence. They put him in, which had shown him. It was about 2 months ago. I shown different places and everything, and the one place the government has hidden out, they won't say what state or anything, but it's an institution where they put a lot of people in. But to this day, nobody knows where the institution is or anything, what state or any of that. So yeah, they've been trying to keep this covered up for a very long time.
There were many other witnesses, it turned out. There were some hunters who saw it. There were 3 boys raccoon hunting, and they said that they saw a strange light in the sky just before James's sighting. So there were many other witnesses all across this area who were reporting sightings. And when an article came out about James's encounter, more witnesses came forward. And this created a snowball effect. And soon there were dozens of articles being published on not only James's sighting, but the many other sightings that took place before, during, and after, all in this area, generally speaking. And James got a lot of attention. He said he received upwards of 300 letters and more than 300 phone calls. He said 95% of them were absolutely positive, supporting his testimony or sharing their own sightings. So needless to say, this case did generate a huge amount of interest from many, many researchers. Jim and Coral Lorenzen of APRO interviewed James. They published a report on the case. They talked to his parents, his friends, his teachers, even the police, all of them who vouched for James's honesty and integrity. In fact, James was a very religious man and was a counselor at a Bible camp, not the kind of gentleman to lie. He was very well respected in his community. Now, this was in fact investigated, and I'll use quotes around that, by Project Blue Book, including J. Allen Hynek. And this object did not appear on any radar that they were aware of. And Blue Book basically did no investigation, according to J. Allen Hynek, but listed this case as...
Now, wasn't Jay Hynek one of them that got missing and then ultimately turned up that he was a murderer? Paul, you're on mute. You're muted, Paul. Can't hear you, honey.
Yeah, he was a disinformation agent, sort of, but then he saw so much stuff, he had to ride with the truth. So he started speaking out. But I don't know about him. I thought he just died naturally. I didn't think he went missing or anything.
That'd be something cool to look up about. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there are a lot of programs around the hospitals and everything. Places we don't even see yet. Let's see. Okay, it's time for me.
And if you saw it, you'd never remember it.
Exactly. All right, you have a good night, Bouncer. Thanks for coming in, hon. We're probably gonna do a part 2 tomorrow after, to the second one that Paul had looked up. So we'll probably do that one tomorrow. We'll finish this one out tonight. So, all right, here we go.
As psychological. Now, oddly, the report on this case is, in fact, missing from Blue Book files. And yeah, Hynek confirmed they did no official investigation, but they did call its parents. And they warned them to, quote, keep a lid on the case. Of course, that didn't happen. And many other researchers in the field looked into this case. John Keel looked into it. He's a very well-known researcher. Jacques Vallée also found it quite interesting. He was investigating UFO landings. But many other researchers, including Peter Brooksmith, Jerome Clark, also looked into it. He was very interested in the unusual aspects of it. But Mark Rodiger investigated it. Bob Gribble of the National UFO Reporting Center, Brad Sparks, and many others. So a final end note to this case is that following this incident, James began suffering from strange dizzy spells. So it also has physiological effects and landing traces. And as James says, this is what happened. I know it is quite a wild story, but if you do not believe me, well, that's your tough luck. I wish it had never happened, but it did. And I believe I had an obligation to report it to the authorities. They and the people have a right to know what is going on. I usually meet emergencies without losing my head, but I have never been this scared before. With that case having so many people who have researched it and looked into it and so many witnesses, I'm honestly surprised it's not more well known. It's one of the reasons I wanted to include it in this compilation, because it deserves to be well known. It's a very strange case and one of very few involving what are clearly some sort of robotic creatures. And here is another case that has some very unusual features to it. I call this one Chased by a UFO. And this one took place in Norwalk, Connecticut. It involves two witnesses, and as we shall see, some very unusual elements to it. And also some apparent road in Norwalk, Connecticut. And it was just after 8 a.m. on April 8, 1966, when two 12-year-old boys, Gary Hunt and Mike Dorsey, were walking to school. They had just turned onto Redcoat Road when they saw sunlight glinting off an object behind them. At this point, it was pretty far away, but in an instant, they said, it zoomed down right towards them, very low, about 15 feet, right over their heads, traveling from west to east. They were heading east. It then turned around, making a U-turn, and made a second pass at them, again zooming very low over their head in the opposite direction. And then it stopped, pulled another U-turn, turned around again, and made a third pass, buzzing right over their heads. This is very unusual behavior. They got a pretty good look at it because it was so close and it kept coming right at them. They said this object was about 8 feet in diameter, 4.5 feet high, dull silver in color, metallic, very smooth, and it had rotating red and white lights around the perimeter. And on the top, it had an antenna, which was flashing a red light. They said it also made a strange sound, kind of like buzzing bees, only much lower. No surprise that these two boys panicked as this object is swooping over and over again at them. So shouting and yelling, they ran off Redcoat Road into the woods. At this time, this was not developed at all. This UFO was still looking for them. And in fact, as they're leaving the road, trying to hide in the woods, they saw a car with two men drive down Redcoat Road. The car slowed down. The men inside saw the object. The two boys could see these other witnesses watching the object. They became frightened, the men in the car, and immediately screeched away.
Oh, wow.
And I'll just quote one of the witnesses, Gary Hunt, the 12-year-old boy, as he says, "When we hid behind trees, it floated above the trees to spot us. When we hid behind rocks, it still spotted us. So they took off running again, heading towards the nearby Holy Ghost Seminary. And in fact, 4 seminaries were outside and spotted these boys being chased. But they were still unable to elude their pursuer, so the boys hid under a really small bridge. And this very persistent UFO now dropped down to about 7 feet above the bridge and hovered around this bridge, circling around it for about 5 minutes, trying to get to the boys, apparently. And at some point, about 5 minutes later, the boys heard this weird splashing sound. They peeked out, and the UFO was gone. So the 2 boys ran directly home, told their parents what happened. Their parents confirmed that the boys were white as a sheet. They noted that the time the boys arrived was actually 10 a.m. So this meant that the boys had been chased by this object for a period of 2 hours. Or perhaps, and I'll leave this with a question mark, had missing time. The report is not clear on this. But later, both boys were in school when the principal called them into his office. And they were surprised to see a man there who was apparently from the government. And he wanted to question them about their experience. He refused to provide his name or organization. He said only that he was from a classified top secret branch of the government. And yeah, he was very interested in what the boys had seen. So clearly, any denials from our government saying that they're not interested in this subject is a flat out lie. They were very interested in what these boys had to say. It's quite a case. Well, there are lots of cases of people who've been chased by UFOs. I don't know one quite like that, where it swoops down over and over again, right over the witness's head,
Right here,
and
baby.
even chases them till they're under a bridge. I mean, it's a bizarre case. And there's no shortage of high strangeness when it comes to UFO
Right.
encounters,
Get on, baby.
as this next case shows. This one took place actually in Santa Catarina, Brazil. And I call this one, "I Was Shot by an ET Ray Gun." And
All
this
right, Mama
shows
Cookie,
what
you
can
have a
happen
good night,
sometimes
hon.
when people
Thank you.
take aggressive action towards
Coming in.
ETs. And
Bye,
it's got some
Cookie.
important insights into the nature of the UFO phenomena. And again, it's just so weird. These cases just keep getting weirder. It was around 7 p.m. on September 3rd, 1976. Again, Santa Catarina, Brazil. And a gentleman by the name of João Romu Klein. He's a 19-year-old farm worker. He was walking home after visiting a friend's house. And he was less than a quarter mile from his home, very close, when he noticed a classic flying saucer approaching at very low altitude from the south. He said it was gray in color, about 9 feet wide. The upper section appeared to be rotating, and on the very top was a bright light, and this light was changing in color from red to orange to yellow and finally green as the object slowed down. So the color of the light appeared to sort of correspond with the speed of this object, but it absolutely targeted him. It made a beeline right towards him, passing over his head at about a height of 30 feet. And then it stopped just ahead of him on the path, and at this point it was only 15 feet from the ground. It then sent...
Well, now they come down. And, I don't know. You said you got footage, but on the last couple of ones I saw, that now they're different shape, but they have a blue light on them now. Or is that just like a reflection off of their ship?
I don't know. They say there's like 80 plus different aliens visiting us now. And there's actually 4 type of hybrids within our government.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting, especially in the next couple of years here.
Yeah, let's hope they're on our side.
Let's please pray that they're on our side. Because they could take us out in one shot if they wanted to. With them being that advanced. But here we go.
Down a beam, sort of a cone-shaped beam of intense red light. And in the beam, Zhao saw 3 small beings. He said they were very short, like dwarves. Each was about 3 feet high. They just floated down in the beam of light and stood next to each other all in a row, facing him and blocking his path. Meanwhile, the craft moved behind Zhou and hovered about 24 feet overhead, sort of pinning him in between the craft and the beings. And as Zhao says, I was out of my mind with panic and fear. As those ugly creatures came nearer, tears rolled down my cheeks, because I suddenly realized that my mother would surely believe for the rest of her life that I had abandoned her. So he was clearly afraid that they were going to take him away forever. At this point, he's only 900 feet away from his house, and he really wanted to get home at this point. So he started walking towards these beings to show them that he really intended to continue on to his destination. But at this point, the 3 figures sort of ominously spread their arms out as if forbidding him to pass. And he says they also began to speak audibly to each other in a very weird, strange language. So this frightened him. He said that they looked heavy set, and they wore gray coveralls, and they were also wearing what looked like a sort of a fishbowl type helmet. And as Zhao says, they had globular heads and wore strange weapons at their right sides. It wasn't until they were nearly upon me that I was finally able to move. The thought that my mother would be left alone always to think I had abandoned her helped me to fight. I grabbed the knife I used for stripping leaves off sugar cane, and I threw it at them. But it hit some invisible obstacle and was deflected. Then I cried out in horror as the middle dwarf drew his weapon and pointed it at me. A bluish light struck my left thigh, and my whole body immediately went stiff. So this weapon looked like a sort of a short rod, like a tiny little flashlight. And this is really all Zhao remembers. When he woke up, he was in his house, in bed. He learned that his neighbors had found him lying unconscious on the path, and upon awakening, Zhao discovered that he was unable to use his left leg at all. It was completely stiff. So he was immediately taken to the Azambuja Hospital. This is in nearby Brusque. And there he was examined by several doctors. And weirdly, they could find no sign of injury. But they did conclude that all the muscles in his left leg were totally rigid, which made any movement impossible. So a very strange and bizarre physiological effect. And as Zhao says, it took 3 days for the stiffness to finally go away. I really wonder about that case if he had missing time. The fact that he was found unconscious on the trail means it's entirely possible he was taken on board and doesn't.
What, Paul?
Nothing. I'm just being smart ass.
Oh, okay.
I'm
We're
fighting
almost done
sleep.
with this. We haven't got that.
I'm fighting sleep for some reason.
Well, you want me to stop it here and we'll just continue tomorrow?
No. Keep on rolling. Keep on rolling.
Okay. Well, we'll do the other video tomorrow night. We'll make it a part 2 tomorrow
That's
night.
a long one. That's a real long one.
Yep. Here we go.
Doesn't remember. To me, the aspect of this case is not even the fact that the knife that he threw at the ETs was deflected by an invisible force field, which is weird enough, but the fact that his leg was basically paralyzed for almost 3 days. This is a very unusual physiological effect, and good evidence that something very strange happened for sure. And now we move to the next case. And this one again is so weird. I'm not sure what to make of it. It's really quite a tragic case, actually. I call this one UFO Predicts Fatal Bus Accident. And this one took place in Beersheba Springs in Tennessee. It involves quite a few witnesses. I couldn't get a whole lot of information on it, so it's a pretty brief case, but I think it's important to include because it shows some of the weird psychic aspects of UFO encounters. This case occurred on March 17, 1978, again in Beersheba Springs, Tennessee. But it was on March 18, one day later in 1978, when a bus carrying 22 members of a fundamentalist religious sect left a mountain highway in Monteagle, Tennessee, and tumbled 100 feet into a ravine, killing 4 passengers and seriously injuring the remaining 18 passengers. Now, the driver was actually charged with murder for drunk driving, and state troopers learned that the truck had been rented by the leader of the sect, a gentleman by the name of Peter Thomas, age 25, and he was taking the members of his group on a vacation to Beersheba Springs, where they were thinking of buying some property. And here's where the story gets weird. Peter Thomas, the leader of the sect, said that they had rented the 12-foot truck because, and I quote, "We thought that would be the most economical, and everybody could sleep in the back while we were driving. But we saw a flying saucer that night. All of us did. It was a big ball of fire that came in over the moon, came across the sky before it vanished." But that's not even the weird part. The weird part is that Peter Thomas said that night he had a dream which actually featured this flying saucer, and that it warned him of a terrible accident. And he says that in the dream he actually died. And of course, the next day, this bus accident did occur, killing 4 members of the sect. And as Peter says, some people blame this on me. They say this wouldn't have happened if these people hadn't been with me. I expect to be shot very soon, perhaps within a week. Now, there's no word on what happened to Peter. It's a very weird case where ETs appeared to be warning Peter of this fatal accident, which did in fact occur. I think you'll agree that was a very weird case, and it may sound unique, but there are lots of cases where people have had precognition that's in conjunction with a UFO encounter in some way. So I think that alone really makes this case worthy of attention.
You coming
Here's
up?
another case which I find super interesting because this involves 2 witnesses who were clearly targeted by a UFO and suffered some very unusual effects. And in fact, I call this one Burned by a UFO.
Your text
This one
messages.
took place in Goya del Colle, Italy. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sure someone out there will correct me if I'm wrong, but it's absolutely an interesting case. One of the witnesses is actually quite well.
Brody, check your messages on your phone. The link is in there, sweetheart. We're just watching stuff that Polly's watch or Polly emailed me with. Polly gets the credit tonight. Okay, I'm gonna come back here and start this up again until you come up. Oh, okay, hang on. Hang on. Shouldn't have said error though. Try again. Sorry, folks. Give me a second. Okay.
Jen, why don't you let the video play while you try to get Brody in?
Yeah, I can do that too. Sorry.
Well known in his country. This also took place in a very unusual location, as we shall see, and involves animal effects as well, some very significant animal effects. So yeah, an important case.
Try
for
that
sure.
one, Brody.
This next case involves two young men. One of them is Parid Orfe. At the time he was age 17. He was a tamer, a lion tamer, elephant tamer, but he later became a very famous singer. And also witnessing this event was Felipe Garcia, and he was an acrobat. He was 19 years old, and they both were circus performers at the Orfe Circus. And in fact, Parid's father owned the circus. They had set up at the village of Goya del Colle, and the circus was actually closed on this evening, which was March 31st, 1980. So Parid and Felipe decided that they were going to go see a movie, which they did. And it was around 1 a.m. that they returned to the circus. And they were actually standing behind the central tent
We're just watching
when
the
a UFO showed up. Parid was the first to see it. It was a glowing object, and it moved directly towards them, clearly targeting.
We're watching UFOs tonight. Yeah, documentaries on the UFOs. And we're almost done with it.
I feel like I got probed last night. My asshole hurts.
Ew, I didn't. Turkey. Okay, we're gonna continue here real quick.
Okay.
Moved so quickly, it left a glowing trail of light. And looking up, they could see this object, or this light, sort of a bluish orange orb. And it was about 2.5 feet in diameter, and it hovered, they estimated, about 300 feet overhead. Not for a very long time, for about 10 seconds. And then it turned red as it disappeared, and again left a glowing trail behind it. As Felipe says, while we were very frightened, the animals were nervous. The dogs especially yelped without interruptions, and the elephants started trumpeting. So the animals noticed something strange too. And at first, these witnesses were afraid to tell anyone what they had seen for fear of ridicule and disbelief. But that's when they started to notice that they suffered some apparent injuries. Both boys noticed that they had been apparently burned by this object. Felipe was wearing a metal watch on his wrist, and where this watch was, his skin was burned. So it somehow interacted with the metal of his watch. And Parid was wearing a cowboy belt which had metal studs. And this was, of course, around his waist, and he had 2 burns where the metal was touching his skin. So realizing that they had burned by this object, they knew they had some evidence, and only then did they come forward. Even then, despite their physiological effects, they were both accused of lying, being drunk, making up stories. That is until the witnesses saw that the boys had in fact been burned. Then people started to believe them, and in fact, their story was published in newspapers, and the case involving 2 witnesses, a UFO which apparently targeted them, had animal reactions, freaking out the circus animals, and of course, the physiological reactions. The fact that those 2 witnesses very nearly kept their encounter a complete secret shows again that the vast majority of encounters are probably not documented in any way. It's only the fact that they had physiological effects from the result of their encounter that encouraged them to report it. And they suffered some pretty serious backlash because of it. But thankfully, they did come forward. There are many cases like this, but a really interesting case with animal effects and physiological effects. And I think it's an important case that deserves to be well known, which is why I wanted to include it. And there's always another where that one came from. Because here's a case which is really quite bizarre. And I call this one the UFO with tentacles.
Why do I gotta say this? He looks like Father. He looks like Father Time.
Oh,
doesn't he?
I forget which one. A little bit.
Always misses the damn hat and the beard.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay, I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. Put it on a different setting. So, we're at 57:36, and it's an hour and 25 minutes. Okay,
Damn.
let's see. Yeah, we're going to speed them up a little bit. Okay, here we go.
A whole lot of attention. And this one does involve animal effects as well. But what's weird to me is the appearance of the UFO and how it behaved. So I think that alone makes this case worthy of being on this list of encounters that are just plain weird. Kavia, Sweden, is a pretty small town. This case occurred on October 27, 1981, and it involves 3 witnesses who never expected to have a terrifying encounter with a UFO when they went out horseback riding on that evening. The 3 witnesses, they were all friends and neighbors of each other. They include Pia Anderson, age 17, Karina Sostrom, age 14, and Anna Karine Lindahl, age 11. It was around 9 p.m. that evening when they decided to exercise their horses before going to bed. And I will just let Karina, age 14, describe what they saw, because she describes it very well. As she says in her own words, it was an unusually bright evening for the time of year. The horses appeared to be rather uneasy, as if there was a presence somewhere around. Now I know the real meaning of horse sense. Usually they like nothing better than to be out of the stable. They like the jumps best, and of course to gallop freely. But that particular evening, they were extremely restless. We decided to take them for a gallop across the heath to get the wind out of them. It usually worked. It was a wonderful evening. The stars were just beginning to show, but it was still light. And suddenly, we all stopped in our tracks. I know it sounds crazy, and people have told us it just cannot be true, but it is. We, all 3 of us, saw a flying saucer. It seemed as if it had arrived from nowhere in particular.
Fascinating.
Suddenly it was there, hovering about 8 meters above us. It was about as high up as the roof of the barn.
I know you are.
The horses went wild. I was nearly thrown off to the dirt.
But who knows?
I managed to
Might
cling
end
on.
up really.
Just as suddenly, the horses were quiet and docile again. It was as if someone had told them there was now nothing at all to fear. It couldn't have been us, but we were scared out of our wits, and still were.
Yeah, I see a UFO all the time when I bend over.
Didn't dare to look up at all. I didn't want to believe what I'd first seen. But I can tell you, I really saw what I saw. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. It was a shimmering sort of thing.
Really? You saw it with your own 2 eyes?
There was
Not just
scarcely
one?
noise coming from it. Although there had been a shrill whining noise when we first encountered it above us. So that's Karina's testimony, but of course both the other girls were equally frightened, and they all got a very good look at it.
No, I just thought it was funny how he goes, my own 2 eyes. Really? Both of your 2 eyes?
There were lights in a myriad of colors along the edge of the craft.
Could have just said, I saw him with my own eyes.
It looked as if it was burning at the center, top, and bottom, although I could see no flames. It pulsed red, bright red to pink, in a sporadic sort of pattern. There was nothing regular about the pulses as far as I could see. I can swear to it. Now here's where it gets really weird.
Well, don't swear to it.
As she says,
that's mean.
On the underside, I was able to see small silver metallic feet protruding. They were perhaps a half meter each, and they were placed around the circumference of the saucer. I guess it might have been landing gear. I can't be sure, for they just stuck out and turned slowly with the body of the craft as it seemed to look at us. It was weird. It had tentacles that were several feet long, dangling from all around the circumference. I felt strange eyes piercing through us. I was pins and needles all over, but it could have been just the fright of it all. It was so unreal. It was incredible. The flying saucer just hung there in the air, 6 to 8 meters above our heads. The horses were scared. We were scared. I wet myself in fear of what could happen to me and my two friends.
I
I'd
mean,
never
I
been frightened like
remember-
that before.
I
We were
remember
alone.
back
I
at
didn't know what to
middle
do.
school.
I was paralyzed with fright.
And
Otherwise, I might have
we
run
had
for my
an
life.
episode on this.
It hung there in the air over us for more than
And
6
it was
minutes.
the first time
I can't hear you,
That's
Chad.
a pretty long time.
And they showed
At
pictures
some point, the
of
object
the
disappeared or moved away. When it was gone,
What'd
Peter
you
looked at
say,
her
Jen?
watch and noticed it had stopped dead. It hasn't worked since.
Hang
She
on.
even took it to get repaired.
I said, I remember when I was back in school, in middle school, that is, when they first, okay, Paul. When this first came, first when they finally leaked out about the aliens and stuff, they actually had pictures. They weren't kidding. These aliens do have really big black eyes. A small, like a big black eyes, with a small head, and their body is just like it's like clay.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, they're supposed to be green.
No, they were they were actually gray.
Green or gray, I don't know.
Okay.
I've
Yeah, I know what you meant. All right, we only have.
Okay.
We have
going through the tunnel. Oh, sorry. Oh,
yeah, we got like about maybe 20 minutes left of this.
Repaired, but the repairman couldn't find anything wrong with it and can't explain why it doesn't work. So, needless to say, the girls galloped home in terror at top speed, so fast that their riding instructor, Miss Anita Sostrand, saw them running full tilt for the barn, and she was initially furious at them because the horses, it's dangerous to gallop that fast. And as she says, I ran out to give them a ticking off about the way they had treated the horses. I've always tried to tell the girls to take it easy with the horses, but this time they had ridden them home as though all hell had broken loose. And apparently it had. For the girls were lying in the hay, crying their little eyes out when I opened the door to the stable. It took me almost an hour to get them coherent enough to tell me what had happened.
Oh, wow.
At first I thought they may have run into a dirty old man, or perhaps worse. But I was certainly not prepared for what they had to tell me about a flying saucer. It was all so incredible. I would have needed to see it with my own eyes. I don't doubt for a moment the girls told me the truth. It's just that it sounds so weird and wonderful, strange, but still fascinating. And I didn't believe in flying saucers before either, but I don't doubt the girls for a minute. They're telling the truth. So it was only one day after the incident that reporters showed up. Reporter Alf Olsen interviewed the girls and came away convinced. As he says,
does it mean or does
they're
he
just
almost sound like a
ordinary
damn
schoolgirls.
robot?
I can't for the life of me imagine them putting on such
It's
an
because they
intricate
sped
and
'em up a little
incredible
bit.
story just for the effect
We
it
can
might cause on their
understand
friends.
No,
that.
just the
They
way
were
he's
rather reticent
talking.
at first about speaking of it at all to a newspaper man, for they thought the readers might laugh at them if the story was used in the
Like
paper.
there's like no space in
Of course,
between
it was
his
used.
periods.
There was a lot of people
That's
wanting to
because
interview him.
I put the
And
speed up a
finally,
little
Pia
bit.
Anderson said, "This is the last time I'm going to speak
Oh.
to anyone about it. I know I saw it, but people think I've
That
just got
makes
to
a
be
lot of
crazy and I'm
sense.
hallucinating." The researchers did do some investigating. They contacted the local
Listen,
airport.
Stay here
They
for.
said that their radar equipment
it would
showed no
be
air
another
traffic.
40
They contacted
minutes.
other
If
airports.
I didn't do that.
They even contacted the Swedish Defense Department, who expressed an interest in the case and said that their Air Force's Special Investigation Group in Linköping would look into the case. I don't know if that ever happened, but that's as far as the case goes, and it's certainly a very weird case. So there you go. Clearly not imagination if the horses are reacting as well. 3 witnesses saw this, and in fact, some of them were so traumatized by it that they don't want to talk about it, as we've seen, ever again. A really remarkable case. But this last case that I'd like to present to you today is, to me, by far the weirdest and just so strange. This one took place in Russia, actually, in
Oh, yeah, Russia always has UFOs over there.
Archangel-esque Russia.
Ah, the good old Russia.
So, what's really interesting about this
I
case
wish
is
the
it does involve 2
UFO
truck
ships,
drivers
the aliens
and
attacked
multiple witnesses
Russia
beyond that.
and put them
One
in
of
their
these truck drivers
place.
actually went on board the UFO. I call this case, They Looked Like Bags. And when I say they, that's the ETs. This is a very unusually described type of extraterrestrial, but it goes so far beyond that. I mean, there are some weird aspects to this case that I've never heard before, and I think it really should be more well known. You may have heard of it. This was covered in the Eyes on Cinema website. But I found quite a few new details on this case, which really deserve to be known because wow, are they weird. This next case occurred on November 2nd, 1989, and the two main witnesses, again, are professional truck drivers. Their names are Oleg Kurzakov and Nikolai Baranchikov. They were driving their truck from Arkhangelsk to Moscow late at night. Now, this is a long highway, as you can see, through mostly wilderness, and they reached a point of the highway that was actually closed for construction. So they had to take a little detour along a dirt road running parallel to the highway, and that's when they came upon an apparent UFO. And I'll just quote Oleg directly. As he says, "I thought it was some kind of construction equipment. There were many machines there because the road was under construction. However, when I drove closer, I saw a big object that in the headlights had a metallic sheen to it. When we got within 80 to 90 feet of the object, our motor stalled and our truck coasted several feet further.
They always say if they saw a UFO, it was always
We
metallic.
understood that we were seeing something very unusual in front of us and were afraid that something unavoidable would happen. While their headlights were still operating, they were connected to a different system, and Oleg, who was driving, told Nikolai to wait in the truck while he got out to investigate. And boy, does it get weird. As Oleg says, I approached the object. I left the cab and decided to approach the object to examine it more closely. After I passed the hood of the truck, I began to feel, with each step I took, an increased resistance from the air. My body seemed to melt. It became difficult to move. And I knew that if I got any closer to the object, I would not be able to
Oh my
move
God, I
at all.
looked up. I thought that
So
was
he backed up. He tried to
on the
approach the
beach
object from a
with,
different angle. He
cousin
still felt the
Mom
same
being-
weird force field, this resistance. And he got as close as he could. He was able to
Okay,
approach to
that
about
guy that
30
it was
feet
just being
from the
shown,
object. But any closer was
he looked like
impossible.
the guy off of The
He got a very good
Shining.
look at it. He said this object was disc quite large,
Oh, that
about
too.
130 feet in diameter, clearly metallic.
Didn't it?
It had a dome on top. I first thought it might be dark
Yeah.
portholes around the perimeter. This object had come down right
Red
alongside
rum.
the road and
Red
actually landed
rum.
on some birch trees, snapping them right off. There were no lights on the object at
Sorry.
all, and what he thought were portholes were very dark. In fact, there was no
You're
signs
good.
of any activity whatsoever. But then it got even weirder. Suddenly, this very bizarre transparent screen, this is about 6 inches square and had glimmering red dotted lines around the edges. This screen appeared 3 feet in front of him, right at eye level. And inside this sort of floating, glowing screen, Oleg saw red words, glowing red words appear on the screen, and they read in Russian, "burning fire," or words to that effect. And as Oleg turned to look back at Nikolai, this screen actually followed his line of vision. It tracked his eyesight and always stayed right in front of wherever he was looking. So Oleg decided that the screen was giving him instructions to start a fire. So he walks back to the truck to fetch some matches and some alcohol, which they use for antifreeze. And he's trying to open Nikolai's front passenger door, but he couldn't open it, not even with Nikolai's help. They were fussing around with it until suddenly, for no apparent reason that they could see, it opened very easily. So he got the matches and the alcohol. He returned right up to the craft, and this time he felt no resistance at all. So he approached right up next to it. He gathered a few dry leaves, doused them with alcohol, took a match out, and lit a small fire. And looking up at the craft, he saw an opening in the side of the craft, which was leading to a corridor inside, and he could see this bluish light coming out from this opening. And I'll just quote Oleg again, as he says, "At first I had the impression that a shadow was moving inside the corridor, but then I realized that something was moving in the corridor towards the opening. When I finally realized what was happening, I began stepping backwards and fell into a ditch along the road. I jumped back onto my feet and continued to observe what was happening. Something approached the opening, and I saw that it was a dark mass, which reminded me of a bag or sack. As the mass moved, it swayed and bent from side to side, and its periphery was vague in appearance. At this moment, a shaft extended from the object. It bent and it descended to the surface of the ground.
That's so weird.
The mass slid down the shaft while increasing in size and approached the fire of burning leaves. I was paralyzed by fear. The mass stood by the fire for a moment and then began to return to the object, taking with it the box of matches. Returning along the same path along which it left the object, the mass disappeared in the corridor together with the box of matches. Only then did I finally succeed in extracting myself from the ditch. I returned to the road. I glanced back at my truck again. The truck's headlights blinded me, but nevertheless, I could see the frightened face of Nikolai, which was pressed forward tightly against the windshield. So yeah, this is very weird, these blurry bag-like beings. There's this little shaft, it's like a pole, which came down from the opening, and this weird resistance, which prevented him from approaching the craft. So Oleg looks back at the craft, and at this point, he became very curious to see what was inside. And he apparently got an invitation, because as Oleg says in his own words, and I quote, "I had a desire to look inside, but since the door was above my head, I decided to grab hold of the tube and jump. The instant I grabbed the tube, I found myself standing just inside the opening. There was nothing there in the form of either steps or elevator. I did not feel any kind of external influence, but rather everything seemed to happen naturally or by itself. I thought of the possibility of danger to me and decided to be as careful as possible, but at that instant, I received a message on the screen that I had nothing to be afraid of and that I could enter. Upon entering the corridor, I looked at the walls and noticed the absence of doors. The corridor was significantly wider than the opening. The floor was flat, and the walls and ceiling formed an oval. I went along the corridor toward the shimmering light, and I felt that I was walking on a flat metallic floor. Somehow, I got the feeling that the surrounding walls did not have simply a decorative covering, but rather they were structural, and something was connected to them from the back side. There clearly was some sort of strengthening device attached to them. I did not want to touch the walls, so I'm unable to say what it was that served to strengthen the walls. So again, inside the floor is flat, though the walls and ceilings were curved. We walked about 25 feet down this wide corridor into a round room, which he says was totally white, was about 50 feet wide, had a domed ceiling, and there was a bright blue light shining from above.
Hey, real quick, I'm going into Sheets and using the restroom, so I'll be back on
he had come out of
soon.
along the wall. We saw weird panels with flashing lights. Also in the room were two of these dark bag-like figures he had seen, and they began to move towards him.
See y'all.
Again, I'll just quote Oleg. As he says, "As soon as I looked around the hall, certain questions came to me, answers to which appeared immediately on the screen. But then I noticed that the answers appeared in my head before I was able to read them on the screen. Several answers were accompanied by demonstrations of the operation of those structures that interested me. In such a manner, my question of the significance of the dark horizontal recess in the wall off to my left was demonstrated to me. This recess was a three-dimensional information screen on which I was shown the interior of another sister ship with the same moving masses. During the demonstration, the two masses in our ship were motionless. Then they showed a ship in space among the stars, and at the end of the demonstration, they showed the speaker of a Soviet television program called Vremya. So this is beyond weird. I'll just continue Oleg's testimony as he says, "Off to my right side, there was an oval control panel or desk located about 5 feet from the wall on which there were many switches and lamps. All of the lamps had a flat square shape, and from all appearances, they appeared to be pressable. Some of them were elevated above the level of the control panel, and others were flush with the top of the panel. On the upper surface of the lamps, there were some symbols in the form of geometric figures, circles, triangles, quadrilateral figures, lines, etc., and combinations of the above. The black switches on the panel were similar in appearance to toggle switches." So when he says lamps, he means sort of glowing buttons. And they all had these weird symbols on them, as you can see here. So Oleg asked more questions. He asked them, "Who are you? And where are you from?" They didn't answer him verbally, and instead at this point, the dome above him dimmed and showed a star map which pulsated and descended. And one of the stars on the map started blinking, and Oleg asked them where that star was, because that was clearly what they were saying, that this was where they're from. And the beings told him, "This is in your galaxy." And so I'd just like to quote Oleg one more time, because this is such an interesting description that he gives. As he says, "I asked question after question. The answers I received were heard in my head before I saw them on the screen. I asked, what kind of ship am I on now? What kind of propulsion system do you use to make it fly? As I was told, this spacecraft is a scout ship and uses electromagnetic fields to fly. It is a springboard to the future. In response to my question, do you have any connection with Bigfoot? They said yes, and added that they watch Bigfoot continuously. As I was asking question after question,
Brody.
I suddenly noticed that a third mass had appeared in the hall, and then a fourth. I watched a conversation take place between them and came to the understanding that the time for me to leave had arrived. My next thought was to leave something with them for a memory, so I took off my watch and I wanted to put it on the floor, but at this moment I was told that they have a complete knowledge of the earth and needed nothing. For the first time during this visit, they asked me, why do I use a watch made in another country? Then I asked, is it possible to see you once again? They said, if you will be in danger, we will find you within 15 seconds. So backing out a few steps from the hall, I turned and went along the corridor towards the opening, and as I came to the opening of the spacecraft, I took a hold of the tube by my right hand, and I immediately found myself standing on the ground. Not looking back, I went to the ditch and crossed over to the road to the same place where I had stood a few minutes before. When I looked back, I noticed that the tube and the opening had disappeared. In a few seconds, I saw the outer rim begin to move in a clockwise direction. The dome began to move in approximately 30 seconds in a counterclockwise direction, and around it began to appear a luminescence surrounding the spacecraft. As the revolutions became faster, the luminescence enveloped the spacecraft, and the craft became a ball of light. So it took about 30 seconds until it turned to a ball of light, and it was starting to rise up. And it was at this point that other cars drove up on the highway and also saw this UFO as it lifted up and shot out of sight at high speed. So Nikolai at this point exited the truck and ran up to him, as did the people inside the other cars. They began to question Oleg, but he was too shaken up to speak. And when he returned to the truck, he found he was not able to drive and had to let Nikolai drive. But here's another very interesting detail. As Oleg says, Nikolai told me that when I came out of the craft there was a glow around me. He said I was shining like the Lord God. There was some sort of halo around my body, and it was as if my body was transparent. So yeah, what a story. It's a really incredible encounter. And it's actually not over yet, because later Oleg believes his life was saved by supernatural means. So he always regretted not asking them for a souvenir, but he doesn't think they would have given him anything. But he was very interested and intrigued in the fact that they said that they would rescue him if ever he was in danger. And it was some years after the incident that he was out hunting, crossing the river Zua on skis, and suddenly he fell through the ice into the river. And he wanted to toss his rifle aside, but the clear thought came into his head that he shouldn't do that, that it would come in handy, and it did. He was able to use it to climb back onto the ice. And what's really interesting is he saw this little old woman running towards him, accompanied by a little black dog, and she pulled him out of the water, and then literally, he says, dissolved before my eyes. So he went to the nearest village and asked about this little old woman, and no one knew who she was. So that itself was very strange. So there you go. 10 cases of high strangeness, all of them weird, I think you will agree, coming from all over the world, spanning decades, lots of witnesses. I'm surprised there are still skeptics in this world, because these cases alone, I think, should be enough to convince anybody. They have outstanding physiological evidence. They also have landing traces. There are animal effects. I mean, what more do you need? How much evidence is it going to take before this subject is taken more seriously? I think we are seeing great progress with the recent congressional hearings, but we're still not at that point. There is still skepticism. There is still ridicule. There still is a UFO cover-up. That's why I do this research. I think this is an important subject. Every case deserves our attention, and there are so many of them. So I want to thank you once again for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope you learned something. I hope you found it entertaining. And once again, until next time, keep searching for answers, keep looking for the truth, and of course, keep having fun. Until next time, bye.
Rock on.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, and all of his little streams are like that.
Oh wow!
He's got it.
I gotta remember to put him up on the next speed so we go through faster.
He's got so many. That's why I said you can pick, because I wasn't going to pick one.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I figured it kind of fit the show more than the History Channel kind of crap. Or
we could do part 2 tomorrow.
Do part 2 whenever you like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's more better.
Yeah. I just text Brady and said the video's over. Are you coming back? But we're gonna let everybody go. Please, I do have that link in the description. Please go over, sub and everything, leave a comment. You would appreciate that. And we're gonna see everybody tomorrow.
Yep.
On
Hump day.
Here we go. Closing intro.